Greetings and salutations, friends. Welcome back, old friends and new. We want to take a moment to recognize and thank all of you new subscribers. This month, I think we're up somewhere between 250 and 300 subscribers. There has been a new influx of new friends, and we love new friends here. Thank you for lending us your eyes and ears. We're happy to have you here. And to you old friends, the veterans who I heard somebody mention, they have been here at Truth Seekers since the Anjali original story, which was quite some time ago. We really covered that story. And despite what hoaxer, liar, scammers tell you, I don't host hoaxers. We are the reason why people largely know that this Anjali person, former DIA employee and contractor specializing in information warfare, Truth Seekers, as well as a few researchers who certainly helped a great deal with this whole Anjali story, including Charlie Weiser and James A. Conrad. We really dug into her story, and we busted her entire original story as completely and totally fake. So imagine my surprise when we get to play UFO whack-a-mole again. You know, you whack them down, they just pop back up. Usually, though, they pop back up with brand new fake stories. Since her entire original story got busted as fake. But imagine my surprise when I went to visit a friend who has a subscription of all things Gaia TV. And I got to sit there and listen to Anjali tell her entire tunnel of aliens love story. Well, it wasn't really a love story, but Anjali's original story, for those that don't know, is that she met this couple in a coffee house. They invited her back to their home. And there, while at the home, there was a tunnel behind the guy's house. And she went in there and met all these different alien species and had this tremendous alien contact experience. And there were these witnesses to the event because the couple was there. After a great deal of effort, and by the way, that whole story, it reminded me of Don't F with Cats. If you've ever seen that on Netflix, it was just like me, Charlie Weiser, James A. Conrad, and a bunch of people on the internet decided we were going to find her original, this Wayne. She called him Wayne. That wasn't his name. We were going to find him, and then we were going to ask him if all this stuff that she said really happened or if the story was fake. And I started poring over satellite maps, looking for any mountains in that area and people who owned we had a few data points to work with, like the guy owned a construction company. He had a mountain on his property. So we went looking. I struck out. I did start calling everybody that had a construction company and also owned property. We checked public records and satellite maps, and it was a tremendous effort to find this person. And of course, I want to thank Charlie Weiser and James A. Conrad, who were more responsible for finding him than me. But they sort of forwarded this information along to me, and I called the guy right up. I'm like, I'm getting to the bottom of this story. Is she telling the truth, this Anjali person, or is this all a garbage peddled story? Now, imagine my surprise then after we interview the principal witness to her alien encounter event, and we find out some key points of data. I think the most important data point that we found when interviewing this so-called Wayne of hers is that there was no tunnel. He had not dug a tunnel into the mountain. She claimed there was a tunnel into the mountain. They went in there, met the aliens. He talked about building a tunnel, but like he's got a mountain on the back end of his property, like in his backyard. There was a mountain facing his backyard. So he thought he would build like a man cave in there, like literally. And the guy's in construction, so he could do these things. But he mentioned it to her while she visited. There was no tunnel when she visited. He hadn't even begun any excavation or digging. So her entire original story completely and totally blown apart as fake. There was no tunnel. How are you having an alien experience inside a tunnel or going through a tunnel into an alien base inside a mountain if there's no tunnel? I originally hypothesized that this was a drug-induced event in one form or another. She talked about being called Lavi, a purple being, and ask anybody that's done DMT. Almost everybody that does DMT, ask them. They see a purple being. So my original hypothesis was she was under the influence of some kind of drug. She swore up and down she wasn't on any drugs. She didn't take any drugs. No drugs were involved in this experience. Turns out later, she admitted that she was on some, to the best of my knowledge or recollection, 4 different prescription medications. And this Wayne person, the person she met at the coffee shop, in his words, dosed her with some very high potency cannabis oil, Rick Simpson oil, it's called. I don't know how potent it is, but one can imagine that the combination of some 4 different prescription medications that she was on at the time, and add to that she was dosed with some very high potency cannabis oil. And I think we can all guess where her so-called alien tunnel experience came from. A lot of people on drugs report seeing or experiencing tunnels or they hallucinate. They have admittedly profound experiences. I know I have, especially on hallucinogens, but that's a story for another time. But it doesn't mean that she saw aliens, and it doesn't mean that her story was true. Now, it's important to point out that Anjali, when she first came on the scene, claimed to be a former Defense Intelligence Agency employee. I thought that was fake. I said that. She's probably complete total fake. She probably never worked for them. In her defense, I did a full background investigation, and we did find out that her original story was fake. All the alien stuff was fake, but her background, claimed work credentials, and her claimed education, incredibly educated woman actually, was all true and correct. She did have the degree she claimed. She did work for the Defense Intelligence Agency twice, both as a direct employee and then later as a subcontractor or contractor, which is very common. And what did Anjali specialize in? She specialized in information warfare. So one might ask themselves, and I keep saying this, but since 2016, there has been a right out in the open government infiltration into the world of UFOs. And it's incredible the amount of government people that are now directly involved in UFOs, that are experiencers themselves. And now we've got this John Ramirez. Oh boy, that guy is telling all kinds of tall tales with no evidence or no proof. And interestingly, John Ramirez, former CIA, comes out to bolster Anjali's stories after they've already been completely blown apart as fake, fictional, not real, not true, never happened. Nothing that she said originally ever happened. There was no tunnel. Kind of hard to have an alien experience where you go through a tunnel into an alien base when there's no tunnel on the guy's property. Now, of course, originally, she claimed that this couple would back up everything she said as 100% accurate. But we saw what happened when we got to him. He disputed almost the entirety of her story. So imagine my surprise when she does what I call the Cosmic Con Shuffle. You've heard me say that before. That's when a hoaxer scammer gets caught really bad. You got to get caught really bad. Then they shuffle off, right? Do the Cosmic Con Shuffle. Pretend that never happened. And usually they shuffle back in with some new fake stories about aliens or UFOs or spaceships or secret space this or reptilians. Or she didn't do that. She shuffled away and then she shuffled back in Still telling the same story as if it didn't get completely and totally destroyed and busted as a 100% provably fake story already. But not only that, I got to give it to her because I've never seen this before. We're going to have to come up with a new term. I think we're just going to call it the CIA circus maneuver. Since her entire story got completely and totally busted, she gets a big money deal on Gaia TV where she could go tell her completely provably fake alien stories on Gaia TV. Great. And then all of a sudden, here comes a former high-ranking CIA officer who ingratiates himself and infiltrates the UFO community some time ago. And he's backing up her story and claiming that she's being interviewed by the top brass at the government's UFO office. And that would be Arrow. And it turns out somebody got an on-the-record statement. No, she didn't. She was never interviewed by Arrow. Full stop. She was never interviewed by Arrow. It never happened. So, to be very honest with you, I am just perplexed at this entire sequence of events. Remember, we have former Defense Intelligence Agency information warfare specialist suddenly comes out a few years ago and claims that she's having all these alien experiences and she's going to mount an expedition back into the alien mountain and she's going to get all the evidence and proof of the aliens. And then we find the guy who owns the mountain and he says there's no tunnel and none of that ever happened. And she was on all these drugs when she was at my house. And we go, oh, okay, well, that kind of explains it. And we think we're done, right? In a normal situation, that would be the end of the Anjali story, but not in the circus land of UFOs, because Anjali comes shuffling back and she brings with her a high-ranking CIA officer who's telling everybody all kinds of stuff about aliens. Reptilian aliens are in the government, I think he said. And he's here as, I believe, in my opinion, sort of like a handler. I guess he's her CIA handler, and he's telling everybody that I don't care what anybody says about Anjali. She's the real deal, and the government is super interested in her, and they've interviewed her. The UFO program for the United States, they interviewed her. Turns out none of that was true. Nobody interviewed her from Arrow. Period. Full stop. Never happened. So why would a former high-ranking CIA officer be backing up the completely and totally 100% provably fake stories of an alien hoaxer who used to be an information warfare specialist for the Defense Intelligence Agency? Now, I have to make a documentary. We're going to make something like one of my favorite documentaries is Mirage Men. We're going to make a documentary about the government and the CIA, especially's infiltration into the UFO community, because I, for one, cannot believe what's going on. And you know what else I can't believe? I can't believe that a bunch of dummies are lining up to interview these people as if we can trust anything that they have to say. Let's start with Anjali. Told an incredible story of an alien tunnel and an alien mountain, and she went in this alien tunnel and she met the aliens, and okay, turns out there's no tunnel. Turns out that the principal witness to the event said none of this ever happened. And just to remind you of some of the things that original witness to her original story said, we're going to play a little bit of it, because recently Anjali is making the rounds again. And now she's sitting on podcasts and shows talking about the alien tunnel that does not exist. And I just can't believe it that we had, let's see, I think there was 5 people on this show that we're going to play some of it, Calling All Beings. And they're hosting a former DIA information warfare specialist whose alien story got completely busted as fake, and a former high-ranking CIA guy to tell us, no, Anjali's the real deal. And nobody out of the 5 people interviewing those people on that show bothered to mention that there was no tunnel. It did not exist. None of this is real. One may wonder, why is our government infiltrating the UFO community? I've said this time and time again, and I mean it. This is very important. Imagine if a bunch of CIA guys and information warfare specialists from the Defense Intelligence Agency and FBI people and other intelligence people, Pentagon intelligence officials or former Pentagon intelligence officials, all started infiltrating a tiny subculture like cosplay. Wouldn't that be on all the news? What are all these CIA people doing here at a cosplay convention? But post 2016, this is just normal now. And you can go to a UFO convention and there's all kinds of CIA people, including Gary Nolan, Travis Taylor, Lou Elizondo. I'm not sure if he's appeared at them, but we've got Jim Semivan. We've got former CIA Director James Woolsey integrating himself into the UFO community. We've got Anjali, former Defense Intelligence Agency information warfare specialist. Now we've got John Ramirez, former high-ranking CIA guy. He was in charge of like the science and technology division for the whole CIA, I think. He was the directorate. He worked in the directorate for science and technology for the CIA. He also worked in the Directorate of Intelligence for the CIA. And as best I recall, he was a GS-15, which I'm not sure if I'm correct in this, but I'm pretty sure that's pretty high up there. Pretty high CIA guy. And I don't understand why all these CIA people and alphabet soup agencies, that's what I call it. It's the alphabet soup agencies. We've got people from the FBI infiltrated into the UFO community, including Ben Hansen and John D'Souza. We've got former Pentagon intelligence official Lou Elizondo. We've got Gary Nolan, CIA contractor, science guy. We've got Travis Taylor, who also worked for the government, infiltrated deeply into the UFO community. And we've got Jim Semivan. We've got all of those people that were involved in TTSA. And by the way, one of the founders and directors of TTSA was so deep in the CIA, nobody even knew he existed until 2015, I think, or 2013, maybe 2014, 2015. Until then, he was so secretive, nobody even knew he existed. And I'm sorry, but if this had happened to any other subculture, like let's say comic books, doesn't have to be cosplay, or Star Trek community. What if a whole bunch of government agents just started infiltrating and embedding themselves in the Star Trek community? Wouldn't that be newsworthy? And yet here we are, and no one seems to care, and no one seems to mind, and we've got an entire lineup of stupid people who can't wait to cozy up to the CIA, DIA, FBI, alphabet soup, UFO community infiltrators and interview them, get them to do their live events, be on my podcast, be on my show. It's mind-boggling to me. And the fact that no one seems to notice this, with few exceptions, there are a few researchers that are very, very astute. Besides me, there are at least a few people involved with the UFO community that have noticed this as well. So we want to thank Richard Crawley for a kind and generous $6.99 Canadian. Thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. We appreciate that very, very much. Oh yeah, is Daryl Sims former government as well? Daryl Sims is the sheep dip wonder. That guy is bad news. I don't know that we're trying to keep tonight's discussion to government or former government employees that have infiltrated themselves into the UFO community. And of course, we've got a lot of former military now, because a lot of them figured out, hey, this UFO thing is very profitable. So we've got all these UFO profiteering whores jumping in from the military We got Robert Salas, right? And we've got all of these people, Ryan Graves, all former government employees. I'm not that concerned with former military, unless they're former military intelligence. Oh, but let's also remember we have Richard Doty, former Air Force Office of Special Investigations officer. He's been heavily embedded into the UFO community since the 80s. And he has provably manipulated people in the UFO community with disinformation and fake information. In the case of Paul Benowitz, even driving that guy crazy. He literally drove a guy crazy with fake alien stories. And now Anjali is sitting on a panel on Gaia TV with Richard Doty, interviewing her. And she's talking about the alien tunnel. You know, that tunnel that we proved the guy didn't even begin to dig yet when she started telling her alien stories. If all this seems crazy to you, you're in the right place, because I think this is crazy. And the continued alphabet soup agency involvement in the UFO community should concern all of us. Why are there so many government employees here? Why are there so many former government employees here? Why are there so many intelligence people currently or previously conducting what can only be called UFO schemes for profit? It's a lot. It's a lot of them. And but we're going to begin tonight's presentation with Wayne. Well, that's not his name. Anjali's original witness to the event, the man who owned the property she claimed that she had her alien experiences at, was a man named Brian Paul Blackwell. And he owned this big property with a mountain on the back of it. He met Anjali at a coffee shop, brings her back to his house, and, well, we'll see what he has to say. I don't think we have to cite fair use if I'm playing my own show. And by the way, I apologize for even doing this. I had planned to pull some clips and just did not have time over my weekend. I'm happy to say, though, that my cabin bathroom project is going amazing, and it's almost done. One more weekend and we'll be done that cabin bathroom. Thank God. So this is Brian Paul Blackwell, and he owns a big property and a big construction company where Anjali claims that she went through a tunnel into an alien base, met multiple races of alien beings, and more. And this is what bothers me sometimes, this UFO whack-a-mole. Like, we busted this story quite some time ago. I mean, this original interview was 1 year ago. So she goes away for a year, and then she comes back telling the same stories about her alien tunnel, and nobody that's interviewing her is saying, excuse me, wait a minute, your alien tunnel didn't exist, and truth seekers proved that a year ago. How can she sit there on a show being interviewed by 5 people? And by the way, I'm pretty sure they're aware of these facts. Are they just playing along, right? Or is that the access issue? For those unaware, if you interview alien scammers and you push them, with things like facts and evidence, you lose access. So this Calling All Beings show, I don't know what their numbers are normally like, but they got big numbers hosting Anjali, and all they had to do is have 5 people sit there and act stupid, act like they're so dumb they don't know that her entire original story is fake, and just let her talk. We're going to get into that, but before we do, I thought we could go over a little bit of remember, this is the principal witness of her alien encounter, and he's the guy that she said dug a tunnel into the mountain. None of that is true.
Water in the mountain, that's all. It wasn't, I never claimed there was aliens in my mountain, ever.
She said he did.
Anyway.
So that contradicts a lot of her story. And you did tell me, you did tell me off air, though, that you were explaining to her that you were basically going to dig some tunnels and you were going to build like a wine cellar and like a man cave in there, right? It wasn't about aliens. It was just about building something into the mountain.
Yeah, exactly. Like, like
But you hadn't begun. You had not, and to this day, you have not begun tunneling or digging
I have not
anything, right?
even, nope, haven't even
So
started.
there's no tunnels on the mountain that you're
Not a
aware of?
tunnel. There's not a tunnel on this
Is there
mountain.
any caves or anything that you're
Mm-mm,
aware of?
mm-mm,
No.
mm-mm.
Yeah. So that kind of
Well,
contradicts a large part of her story.
where she's claiming these are, it's absolutely not. So,
So no tunnels, no caves that you're aware of, or
no.
entrances.
Mm-mm.
And someone also suggested that there could be some kind of a shed hiding an entrance into the tunnel or something. Are you aware of anything like that?
There's a shed in front of where I'm going to be digging. So that's what she's talking about. And that's where, and that was just a conversation anyway. So
yeah, but she took it and said that you had already dug the tunnel into the mountain, that you met the aliens, that they take people and then they teleport them back into your house.
No, I never
told her any of that.
No. The conversation of me digging a hole, I mean, I didn't really even talk about that too much with people, because I didn't really want people to know what I was doing. But I mean, of course, if you're in a helicopter, you're going to see what I'm doing or whatever, the squirrels got great houses in the mountain. So I was kind of following the squirrels, it wasn't the aliens.
No aliens. So you yourself have not had an alien experience at the mountain or inside the mountain, and you have never been teleported by the aliens or none of that.
No, it'd be cool though. It would be pretty cool if I.
Yeah, and just to be clear, this contradicts all of Anjali's original story. In her original story, she claimed that this Wayne, whose real name is Brian, Mr. Blackwell, told her that he had met aliens inside his mountain and that there were aliens inside the mountain and the aliens come and take people in there. None of that is true. He completely and totally just destroys her entire original story. So why are people interviewing this woman and not bringing this information to their audience? Is it laziness? Is it ignorance? They just don't know. Everybody knows that this happened. I remember this was one of our biggest stories that year. In fact, it was our biggest story that year, that her whole entire story came completely and totally crashing down. And people are going to interview her and sit there and let her LARP, pretend that her experiences are real. And I, for one, strongly stand against anybody interviewing her and not pressing her on these important facts. Just to be clear, though, you have a bit of an interest in UFOs and aliens, right? That's why you were talking. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, for sure. Aliens, they exist for sure. I mean, I believe they live here now. You know what I mean? There's no doubt in my mind that they live underground,
yeah, but you haven't seen them in your mountain.
No.
Or dug a tunnel to them or communicated with any of the aliens. So explain for me when she was at your home, because she tends to say basically that, she kind of took a hike to the tunnel with you and another couple, and then you all went in the tunnel, and then this is where she meets the aliens, and none of that happened?
Well, not in physical appearance here. I mean, if it happened in her experience, I mean, that's her experience. I mean, I don't want to really take that away from her. If that's what she thinks happened, then that's cool. What a great story.
She did. She described it as a physical experience. She, you, and your wife and another couple went into the tunnel.
We don't remember any tunnel. We don't remember any part of that.
So what did happen? She just walked around the grounds around the mountain, took a hike, and then that was it?
We all went. Okay, as far as the hike goes, it wasn't like a hike. It was just up my driveway to the upper level of what is cut. You follow me? Like what pads are cut, where you can walk without hiking the mountain. We didn't hike. We never hiked any mountain. We walked up the driveway about another, I don't know, it's another 200 or 150 feet up. and we just went up and I just showed them that area. That's all. I mean, and if it was, to my knowledge, she wanted to see like more of the land or something, maybe. I can't even remember why we walked up there, because it was unusual that I walked up there.
Yeah, and by the way, Mr. Blackwell provided us with maps of his property showing that it would have been only a few minute walk from his back door to the mountain. It would have been a few hundred feet. You know, like he opens his back door and there's a mountain that slowly descends up right in his backyard. So even her claims, they just completely and totally fall apart
On that day. So with,
so basically you guys were just hanging out and you were kind of showing her your
yeah, that's all.
Your land, right? You had a big chunk of land there, a nice chunk of land with the nice scenery and a mountain on it.
Mm-hmm.
And you're just showing her the mountain and the land and things like that.
Yeah, we all remember.
Yeah, that's all. Just casual.
Could you estimate for me, like, how long was she at your home in total, and how long was she walking around the grounds?
Well, let's see. We got back from the coffee shop probably about 2 o'clock, maybe 3 or so. We weren't outside too long. We probably maybe in a couple hours, maybe before it started getting dark. Maybe I don't even remember. It was January, so yeah, it probably got dark around 4, and it was cold. So from that point, I could see us coming inside by the fire.
Thanks, guys, but
it was
tomorrow.
About that time though that I think that call. It was still light when the ambulance showed up and the sheriff showed up. It was.
Oh yeah. I was going to say, just to be clear, because we're trying to get to confirm or deny some bits of her story. We'll get to the ambulance. I have that on my list, but she claimed that you guys were all in the mountain, and then either her or you, I'm a little foggy on the story. It's been a little bit since I've reviewed it all. Either her or all of you were inside the mountain in this tunnel, and you were instantly teleported back to your home.
Well, I didn't have.
You don't recall that?
I didn't
have that experience.
We walked down. We walked right back down the same way.
The whole story is fake.
Came in
Why is she being interviewed still?
And, that she was on her phone. She was on her phone, and I didn't think much of it. I mean, a person has a phone call. You know what I mean? So next thing you know, there's a sheriff in my front yard, and there's an ambulance right with them. And
yes, apparently Anjali's daughter was concerned for her and called the sheriff and the ambulance to go do a wellness check on her at this man's house. So take from that what you will. I would think that a stable person doesn't have their children calling in police and ambulance to go check on them. But I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a psychologist. It's just worthy of mention that during her original experience, an ambulance shows up to do a wellness check on her, which is incredibly interesting. And we also have to keep in mind that during this night, she was under the influence of several different prescription medications and some very powerful cannabis oil, Rick Simpson oil, which Mr. Blackwell gave to her. And he joked earlier in this interview about really dosing her, like a big dose of it. Take from that what you will.
Can you explain to us why would an ambulance show up for her at your home? But they did a wellness check of her, right?
It was a welfare check. So yeah, when I walked outside, I told the sheriff, I said, man, you got the wrong house. Again, because they've mixed up my address before.
Yeah, it happens, especially in rural areas. Yeah.
So I said, you got the wrong place, and he said no. Is Angelia here? And I was like, well, what the fuck is that? Well, yeah. I mean, what? Who is this person? You know what I mean? Like I just brought this person to my house, and now there's a sheriff here, and now there's an ambulance here, Anyway, he didn't give me any information until he saw her, and then after he saw her and then the ambulance was checking her out. Then once she was in the ambulance, and the sheriff and I had we had talks and some laughs, actually. I straight up told him, I says, hey, so what's the deal here? I mean, what's up? And he said, well, somebody called in for a welfare check for her. I go, oh, okay. So, I mean, what's the problem? Are they thinking she's inebriated or something, or what? And he goes, well, I really don't know. And I go, well, whatever. He couldn't really, he didn't want to share the information with me, because I guess you can't, because it's investigation stuff or whatever. And so,
could be medical information, or could be information about her mental state, which is also covered under HIPAA laws. And interestingly, this wellness check and an ambulance being showing up there suddenly would have happened by her own timeline, right after she went down the alien tunnel and met all those aliens in a tunnel that did not exist, right? The entire story is completely and totally fake. And I am going to, right now, before I forget, I will put put this video, for anybody who's interested, I will put the interview of this person, Mr. Blackwell. I'm just going to put it under sources here, right in the description of tonight's video, because talk about, occasionally people tell me like, oh, you're doing all this good, Stephen. You're showing us who's, a lying, profiteer and who's on the level. And, you're busting all these frauds. But it's pretty discouraging to see that they just come back in a year and they keep telling the same story that we've already busted here more than a year ago. More than a year ago, this entire story was over, in my opinion. Because if your entire original story you come out with, and by the way, with great fanfare, she went and had a fake press conference. By the way, there was no members of the press there. And I know that. There was no members of the press there. She stood there in front of a couple of alien UFO fans and gave her little spiel in front of the Lincoln Memorial. She was not interviewed by any members of press. There was no... she wasn't on CNN or Fox or even the local Washington, D.C. news network, period. None. There was no newspaper articles, nothing. So when she says she held a press conference in front of the Lincoln Memorial, well, so could you. Take a one-page prepared sheet of something you want to read, stand there in front of the Lincoln Memorial and have somebody film you reading it. It's not a press conference if no press shows up. Sorry. Wrong term. Announcement? That would have been a fine term to use. I went to the Lincoln Memorial and I made an announcement about my alien experiences, which would, in a few short months after her Lincoln Memorial announcement, wasn't a press conference if no press showed up, the whole story came crashing down as completely and totally a 100% provably fake story. And, so let's review. She claims she meets this guy. He tells her there's aliens in the mountain. Come back to my house. I'll show you the aliens. And she claims she goes through a tunnel. There's no tunnel. The tunnel did not exist. There's no aliens. There's no alien base. And then, curiously, her daughter becomes concerned, and suddenly an ambulance is showing up to check on her. In my opinion, a psychologically stable person doesn't have their children calling in ambulances to check on them. We can also review the fact that she lied in her original interview with me, because I asked her if her experience may have been drug-induced or influenced. No, I wasn't on any drugs. Later, she has to admit that she's on multiple, I believe she was, one of the medications she was on is a psychiatric medication, a sleep medication, some other kind of anti-anxiety medication. And the combination of the super strong Rick Simpson cannabis oil that Mr. Blackwell, he kind of joked that he does that to people. Everybody's got that one friend, right? At a party, they'll give you that drink that's like grain alcohol and a little bit of Kool-Aid, just enough to give it color. it seemed to me to be something like that. He like joked that he gave people huge doses of the Rick Simpson oil. And she involves this family who want nothing to do with all this publicity and all this story and all this stuff. And this man was battling cancer at the time that she does this. She's making major announcements at the Lincoln Memorial that she's going on an expedition to this guy's house. She doesn't even tell the guy that she's going to the Lincoln Memorial to talk about the aliens she met in his mountain. Then she does this whole Twitter promotion thing where she's putting polls up. I was one of the people. Who gets to go on the expedition with me? And people are voting, and it became this entire circus around this lady whose entire original story is fake. And this guy gets drug into it. I felt sorry for him. I still do. He wants nothing to do with the story. He won't do future interviews to the best of my knowledge or recollection. He told her, like, I'm battling cancer. Leave my family out of your fantasies, essentially. I'm paraphrasing, but that's what he said. I'm battling cancer. Leave me out of your alien fantasies and leave my family out of it. Now, of course, in this interview, he did joke somebody can buy his property for $1 million, right? And she also lied to him and told him that Whitley Strieber was going to be involved in an offer of money to buy his property. The famous alien abduction person, Whitley Strieber. He's been a guest here. You may know him from his famous book, Communion. Everybody knows Whitley Strieber. And why is she lying? Then we interviewed Whitley Strieber, who said that never happened. I talked to her because Whitley Strieber believes he was abducted by aliens. So if there's another person that has an alien experience, he'll talk to them. Imagine that. But he was supposed to be brokering some deal between this guy and maybe Bob Bigelow or somebody else that's got a lot of money that wanted to buy this guy's house with the mountain on it so that they can have access to the aliens and the alien tunnel. Sounds scammy because it is. All of this is ridiculous. Absolutely, positively ridiculous. So imagine my surprise when this woman, oh, by the way, everybody's wishing me a happy birthday, and thank you all very much, but you're a little early. My birthday is May 31st, which is tomorrow. But I can't remember. I think it was Mark on Facebook said happy birthday to me. And so everybody, but thank you all. I appreciate it very, very much. I made it through one more year without eating dirt on this planet. And I can't tell you what a happy life I have, and I'm happy for the next year to come. And thank you all for your kindness, generosity, and birthday wishes. So imagine my surprise, right? We did an incredible amount of work to cover this story correctly. And by the way, there are some scammy scammers that we also busted for hoaxing and faking stuff that lie to people and say, he hosted Anjali, he hosts hoaxers. We completely and totally full court press investigated her. We did background checks. We checked her education. We checked her work history. I stand by all the work that we did. And then some other researchers and me said, let's find this guy and his wife and let's interview them. By the way, I did speak to Mr. Blackwell's wife off air, and she confirmed everything that Mr. Blackwell said. There's no tunnel. There's no aliens. Nobody told her there was aliens in the mountain, right? They didn't get teleported back into their house from the alien base. Nobody saw Lavi or the tall white aliens. Of course, tall white aliens come from Charles Hall, who is another complete and total fraud. So, okay, there was fake tall white aliens in your alien story. And the person who brought us everything about tall white aliens is a complete and total fraud that was never in the Air Force. But okay, so the wife, I think he called her Tricia, maybe. It was Wayne and Tricia, to the best of my knowledge and recollection. Both these principal witnesses to her entire original story completely and totally dispute her entire account of what happened that night. There was no aliens. The tunnel didn't exist. and no teleportation happened, right? And then we've got additional lying that she has done. And I mean, you can follow Charlie Weiser if you really want to get into the minutia of just how many times this woman has lied to everyone and contradicted herself with completely and totally false statements. She says things happen, you know, it's a whole thing. But imagine my surprise when just after, you know, a year of completely, look, that whole story is fake. And I get it. People want to believe her. I get it. You know, alien base sounds cool to me. And by the way, just to be clear, if that tunnel did exist and I got invited to that expedition, you're goddamn right. I would have been there with cameras ready to bring it to you. I was packing my bag just in case. She wasn't crazy. And by the way, I'm not saying she's crazy. I think she has a severe problem with, you know, like a lot of people. I think Anjali's problem is that she's led a fairly unremarkable life. And like a lot of people I have seen who make up fake alien stories, doing so gives her some sort of ego boost, right? Some sort of narcissistic pleasure. Like, look, people are finally listening to me because I'm talking to aliens, except you're not, and you didn't, and the tunnel doesn't exist. And it's sad to me, you know? I mean, I found her to be a nice woman until things didn't go very well with me. Famously, people said I yelled at her. I lost my temper on another interview with her after this guy. And she started talking about the tunnel. And I'm like, the tunnel doesn't exist. I lost my temper. But I learned a lesson from it. And I have not done that since to any guest. I haven't lost my temper or yelled at anybody that was a guest. Everybody goes through a learning process. And for this show, that was a big learning experience for me, because then all of the believer crowd attacked me like, you were so rude to her. Her whole story was fake. I have none. I have no patience, none, for somebody that lies about their whole story. So yeah, I lost my patience. I'm human. So imagine my surprise when this woman pops up on Gaia TV. She gets a big money Gaia deal, I heard. I don't know exactly the details of the deal that she got with Gaia TV, but we have heard from people like Corey Good and others that being on Gaia TV is very profitable. And isn't it interesting that Gaia TV, the person that hosted Corey Good telling his fake alien stories, would hire Anjali, whose stories were completely and totally busted as fake. Now, let's get into this Ramirez thing, because this is where it gets crazy. So we're up to the point where her entire original story gets completely busted as fake. Then she gets a job telling the same alien stories that were already busted as completely and totally fake on Gaia TV, also known as fake alien TV, you know? Like, if you want to hear about fake alien stories, Gaia TV is the place to be. I was horrified. I wasn't so horrified about her being on Gaia TV until I sat there with a friend who don't ask me why, but they got Gaia TV. They pay for it. And you can't get those episodes of so-called cosmic disclosure with Anjali unless you pay. I'm not paying Gaia TV. But I was able to confirm, just for my own sanity, that, yeah, Anjali just went on Gaia TV, start talking about the alien tunnel and the alien base and all this stuff that was already completely and totally busted as a completely and totally fake story. And she, you know, it's the lie by omission now. Now she just completely and totally leaves out the fact that we busted her whole story as fake. But it is what it is. But then I was further horrified after confirming that she's telling the same story, essentially, that we busted as completely and totally fake a year ago on Gaia TV recently. I'm even more horrified because now I see that she has a CIA, I call him her CIA handler. Suddenly, this John Ramirez comes out of nowhere, and John Ramirez started infiltrating the UFO community a few years ago. And I think it's really incredible that Ramirez is all over things like TikTok. And for his age and everything to be all over TikTok, it smacks of a psyop to me. And that's my opinion. I'm entitled to an opinion. If you don't like it, form your own opinion. But why is CIA once high-ranking CIA official suddenly on TikTok, on YouTube, all over the place, talking about aliens and UFOs? Is John Ramirez Richard Doty 2.0? I wondered this myself. I'm going to just show you this. This is incredible to me. And he's all over. He's all over TikTok, YouTube, podcasts. And what is concerning is that people are just literally lining up to interview this guy. And no one seems to think that it's problematic that a former CIA guy is saying all this stuff about, oh, I was abducted by aliens. And it gets worse. This guy is just getting deeper and deeper on the woo train. He in the woo hole. This dude, he starts off with some stuff that is pretty grounded, right? When he first enters the UFO community, he's saying things like, I saw some documents that confirm that Roswell was really happened and it was an alien spacecraft that crash landed. And a normal rational person, I guess you would think to yourself, well, he was former high-ranking CIA. Maybe he did see a document that confirms that Roswell was an alien crash landing of an alien spacecraft, right? But the longer he's been here, the deeper and crazier his stories have gotten. And I can confirm this. I have a interesting tweet to share before we get. Okay, so let's do a couple of these TikTok videos first, just so we could sample some of the things that this John Ramirez. Remember, this is the new person that is now helping to, he's like helping to pump up Anjali's already deflated fake story, right? Yeah, and here he is talking about secret government projects to produce alien hybrids. And it gets worse or better, depending on how much you like the woo. He goes further than this video in a recent video, but we'll get to that in a moment.
Without getting CIA's permission. Since World War II, we learned that there has been an alien hybridization of humans.
Exclusively since World War II?
World War II. That's when the CIA learned about it. World War II. That's what prompted me to look back at World War II and say, okay, where did this information come from?
But still, it should be a DNA record of that. We should be able to tell them.
Absolutely. And that's what's not released. That's still...
Well, but I mean, this is being done by academics. It's, the government doesn't do the DNA research.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Well, sure, but I would... it's not.
And by the way, that's Rather B. Squidding, the voice of reason, trying to, clarify his statements. And good job, Rather.
Private, right? There's no classification of our DNA. You can't classify looking into our DNA. You can classify our DNA? You think that they're holding secrets of our DNA from us? How could they do that?
Because the law allows CIA and the intelligence community to do operations like that because no one bothers to read the law.
So you think that they're going into like the university biology programs and saying don't study this, you can't publish these documents?
No, that's not the way it's done.
Wouldn't that mean they're also redacting information from organizations like 23andMe and Ancestry and those others?
Once you give your blood, once you give your saliva to 23andMe and these others, if you read the fine print, you gave away your DNA for the purposes of creating
scientific research. Yeah,
big pharma.
Is the CIA and other intelligence organizations working directly with these companies to limit what information they put back out to the populace?
I don't know. I don't know that. That's why I mentioned Cosmos ID, because there's a company involved in the human genome, involved in bioinformatics, involved in DNA, and then you look at the company, and then you look at who are the consultants to that company.
You know, we got to connect a lot of dots that don't exist, right? That's how good conspiracy theory works. But this is former high-ranking CIA official claiming that the United States government was made aware of a alien human hybridization program back in World War II.
It's a who's who of IC officers. And the company was started by somebody from the National Science Foundation. And so if you go back to FOIA and you go back to National Science Foundation and you research who these people are, all of a sudden you go, oh my gosh, these guys are really well connected. In fact, one of the officers was CEO of EG&G. EG&G was the parking lot where Eric W. Davis allegedly had his conversation with Admiral Wilson. He went to the
connect some more dots.
EG&G facility in North Las Vegas. And the guy who was the CEO of that company, who is the operations maintenance contractor, Area 51, is part of the scientific consultation team for Cosmos ID.
Interesting that this man has made these huge claims, and yet, did we get any evidence of this fantastical claim? Of course not. And one of the things that you will notice about Mr. Ramirez that I certainly have noticed, you may as well, is that he's got a lot of stories, but he's very light on proof and evidence. And of course, he's been pushing this big disclosure event is coming. In well, two things he said. He said that awakening of human consciousness is coming in 2026, 2027, right? Found through Project Looking Glass, which is something Bob Lazar mentioned, and Dan Burrish, 2 UFO frauds, pushed the Project Looking Glass story. And so is he. Now we've got him also saying that there's a big disclosure event coming in a number of months from now.
Well, first of all, I would say that Dr. Kirkpatrick did a wonderful job compared to his 2 other predecessors on the witness stand, if you will. And that would be Mr. Moultrie, who is his boss, the Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence and Security.
You're right, Red.
And with Mr. Bray, who was in charge of the UAP task force, and then is now the deputy director of the Office of Naval Intelligence. I believe that is his position. So I think they did a wonderful job. But again, I would like to emphasize that disclosure will not come at a congressional hearing or in front of a podium with an official standing behind it. That's not what disclosure is going to be. It's going to be a bigger event, and it will happen.
I agree,
my
Steve.
friend Steve Bassett, I'm sure a lot of folks know Steve, a wonderful guy. He has, oh yes, wonderful. Now he's now saying something very accurate. He's saying disclosure will happen in months, not years. Months, not years. And I fully endorse that statement that it will happen in that way, and it will happen in a dramatic way, and not just a hearing. So I'll just leave it at that.
And by the way, just for anybody who's keeping track or keeping score of these people, Stephen Bassett said that disclosure would be coming in months, not years, months ago. Did we miss it? Did I miss disclosure? You know, people have been giving these deadlines for quite some time now, and it never pans out. It never, ever pans out, right? And I'm trying to see. I'm sorry, I'm really not familiar. I hate TikTok. I do not use TikTok. The date of this video is several months ago, though.
Because it's premature to talk about. And I'll just say, stay tuned.
Okay. Wow. What a comment.
Yeah. Stay tuned. Right. Keep buying those UFO books and buying our documentaries, and disclosure's coming any day now. Months, not years. Months go by. No disclosure. What are we going to get? We're going to get excuses from these people. Oh, the plan changed at the last minute. That's the big one, right?
John, you know, now you really got me going here.
Well, first of all, I would say that Dr. Kirkpatrick did a wonderful job.
Oh, I don't know if this is just
compared
repeats.
to.
Yeah, it just repeats. All right. So we've sampled, these are some big claims, right? Awakening of human consciousness is coming in 2017. Extraterrestrials share human DNA. Oh, we got one from Jimmy Church, right? Of course, Jimmy Church is platforming this CIA guy. Of course he is, right? Of course, Jimmy Church is all over this guy. And here's why some of these UFO clown shows are all interviewing him. Number one, you get views. And number two, he says all the things that all the believers want to hear, right? The government really does. Roswell really happened. It really was aliens. I saw the documents to prove it. There's human hybrid, alien hybrid experiments that are taking place, and they have been since at least World War II. There's big disclosures coming in the next couple of months. We're going to have a massive disclosure event, disclosures coming by 2026, 2027, and more. This guy is just full of these stories, right? Here, the CIA has information on an awakening that's going to happen.
I would say I've heard 2027 in a kind of an official capacity I can't reveal. So I think I would say that people in the government are aware of something happening, and that there's...
Wow, imagine that. Something's going to happen in 2027. Very, very specific here.
Limited time, a few more years to prepare the people, and that's what's ramping up this acceleration from the previous 7 decades of not even acknowledging it to now we are acknowledging it at a faster and faster pace.
Yeah, big disclosure event is coming. A big disclosure event. Something's going to happen in 2027, right? And then, of course, he's confirming Phobos is a real structure. He saw proof of that while he was in the CIA. And isn't it interesting that essentially his whole thing is, I know these things because I was in the CIA. But when pressed, well, I can't talk about that because of my NDAs or whatever. He pulls the Elizondo stunt, right? Which is completely and totally ridiculous. Like, here he is talking about the Galactic Federation.
With John Ramirez, a retired CIA officer who served as chief of the Electronic Intelligence Branch and specialized in ballistic missile defense, weapon systems radar, and technical collection operations. Today, he shares his perspectives on the Galactic Federation. John, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Israel's former space security chief, Haim Eshed, has stated that extraterrestrials do exist.
And that guy got that from his granddaughter, who got that from Laura Eisenhower, of all people, right? He didn't say that. He said his daughter told him she heard this from Laura Eisenhower.
And there's a Galactic Federation, and that they're waiting for us to make contact and get.
I would add that Mr. Eshed is just more than a counterpart to NASA administrator. He's more like the counterpart to the director of the National Reconnaissance Office. And in that sense, he's tied to the Israeli intelligence service. He did claim...
Yeah, totally taken out of quote context, clickbait, National Enquirer level garbage story. And here we have Emery Smith. You remember him. He's the guy who once claimed with David Wilcock that he autopsied 3,000 aliens. Then he walked it back to, oh, no, I just did 3,000 tissue samples of aliens, right? Okay.
He did claim that, and he claimed that our president at the time, President Trump, knew all about it, but that we were not ready to make that type of contact with the Galactic Federation. Humanity wasn't ready, and that humanity must be prepared. But those comments...
All right, that's enough of this. I can't take any more of this nonsense from these clowns. So we've covered the Anjali saga. Remember, her entire story is completely and totally fake. Then we get to John Ramirez becoming involved with Anjali to prop up her story. And here he is on Gaia TV, provably propping up a 100% fake story. The Israeli space minister did not confirm aliens, nothing like that. They took what he said completely and totally out of context. What he said was, my granddaughter heard a lot of stuff about aliens from this lady, Laura Eisenhower, that's related to Ike, President Eisenhower. And yes, she is, but he didn't say he did not confirm aliens in an official capacity for the Israeli government or anything like that. And Davina TK is here. Thanks for being a member. Says Emery Smith. What happened to him? He fell off the cliff. To the best of my knowledge, he is still the host of Cosmic Disclosure on Gaia TV. And now, instead of interviewing or being interviewed by clowns like David Wilcock or Corey Good, he's the one doing the interviewing of government shill clowns like Anjali, Richard Doty, and this John Ramirez CIA guy, right? Yeah. And there, Jack Sarfati is another high-ranking intelligence guy. Jack Sarfati is promoting John Ramirez, Richard Doty, blah, blah, and very fanatically. Yeah, I've heard that. And Jack Sarfati is worthy of a whole show by himself. And it's interesting that he fed people fake stories about his wife being an alien hybrid to see if people would just believe it and run with it. And they did. And that's a topic for a whole nother show. So John Ramirez has been saying some wackadoo stuff lately, like really wackadoo stuff. And I think, before we get to that, let's also show you this. John Ramirez, former CIA guy, was nice enough to give everybody a guide for how to navigate the intelligence community if you're interested in UFOs. And this thing reads like propaganda to me. I am going to put this in the description of the video as well. But basically, it gives an overview of the intelligence community, and then talks about the differences in the different intelligence communities and what they are. This is like the one thing this is good for is this is a guide to the alphabet soup. What does NGA mean? What is DIA? What is NRO? What is CIA? What is FBI? CIA, human intelligence, CIA, OS intelligence, television, print media, social media reports, NSA, that's signals intelligence, electromagnetic data of the phenomenon, the DIA, mass intelligence, radiological, biochemical, spectral, sonic data. Oh, it's wonderful. And it's 75 pages of propaganda, basically saying you too can trust the intelligence community to give you the truth about UFOs. We've got a classification guide. What is an agent? And I love this. People who present themselves in the ufology community and claim to have been agents working in any of the 5 major agencies are imposters. Okay. There's been an awful lot of people that have made those claims, though. But apparently, there are no agent employees of the CIA, NSA, NRO, DIA, or NGA. And I may have made that mistake myself. I won't in the future. I call them CIA operatives or contractors. Interesting that this guy would put out 75 pages. Oh, look here, did Roswell really happen? And then he's going to tell you how to investigate a UFO CIA style. Well, the CIA has been lying to the American public for 70 years about UFOs. I'm not sure that we want to follow the advice. And here's some more CIA guys that have infiltrated the UFO community. And then, of course, we get an awful lot of pages, 25 pages of his speculation, more than 25 pages. And look, he's got the Honeyboo, which is a completely and totally fake Nazi UFO that never existed. It came out of tabloid newspapers. Look at the quality of his so-called information, right? Okay, he talks about Project Paperclip, Roswell and the military-industrial complex, and then we get a guide to intelligence community patches and terminology, and it just reads like propaganda to me. Like, yeah, trust the CIA. We're your friends. We're gonna bring you disclosure, right? I love how he mentions the Black Vault, though. So interestingly, he gives it's navigating the United States intelligence community for ufologists. It's a 75-page free PDF. You too can accept what I believe to be propaganda from a CIA operative infiltrating the UFO community with lots of stories about aliens and UFOs being real. And I am just perplexed. Like, why are there so many intelligence operatives injecting alien stories into the UFO community? We've got so many of them now since 2016. And I've said it before, I will say it again. They used to be off in the shadows, right? Manipulating people, feeding people information that they wanted, distributed in the UFO community, oftentimes as subterfuge or misdirection. They keep tabs. The intelligence community has verifiably kept tabs on researchers in the UFO community. They have verifiably fed people in the UFO community completely and totally fake stories about aliens and UFOs and alien crashes and alien visitation and all kinds of stuff. And this is proven historical fact that they have done that in the past. The difference here really is that 2016 backward, they were doing it with operatives that they would send into the UFO community to infiltrate, people like Richard Doty and others. Verifiably did it with Bill Moore, a UFO researcher. They told him they were going to give him the goods. He was going to get to, get all the secrets if he just did what they wanted. And you need to tell us what information this researcher has or that researcher has, or what cases this person is working on or that person is working on. The intelligence community has literally forced, through whatever manipulative means, and let's be clear, the intelligence community are manipulators. That's what they do. They manipulate people for their own purposes. They have verifiably manipulated UFO researchers into spying on other UFO researchers and report back to the intelligence circles, the intelligence community, the information that they're looking for out of various researchers, UFO conferences, like literally sending people into UFO conferences and things like that. But 2016 forward marked an incredible change. And regardless of everything else going on, I am still a student of the history of all of this UFO and alien stuff. And I think it's important that we recognize that from 2016 back, they did these sort of operations. Some will call it a psyop. They did these operations in the shadows. They stayed out of the spotlights. They weren't in the spotlight. They were off on the side, manipulating people in the UFO community who were in the spotlight for various purposes. We also have verifiable evidence and proof that the United States government actively encouraged stories of UFOs and aliens to cover things like the U-2 spy plane, the Blackbird SR-71, the F-117, all of the stealth craft. They actively wanted people to think it was aliens or UFOs when they were catching glimpses of secret aircraft. But 2016 forward marked a change. And instead of being off in the shadows, these government operatives were right in the forefront, right in the spotlight themselves. We had Lou Elizondo and Jim Semivan and all of these other people, CIA people, intelligence people, come forward, Hal Puthoff, all come forward with TTSA, promise everybody they're going to build a spaceship, collect a few $1 million, manipulate. And listen, I don't care what you think about Lou Elizondo. He manipulated the original story about him, the New York Times story. A lot of reporters even later said that they felt like they were manipulated. People like Lou Jimenez, who ran a UFO show, he feels like he was manipulated by Lou Elizondo. investors that I know who gave money to Tom DeLonge and TTSA and Hal Puthoff and, you know, Christopher Mellon and Lou Elizondo felt manipulated. They promised us one thing, took our money, and they didn't deliver anything they promised. Well, with the exception of some crappy books and, you know, the worst UFO television show ever, in my opinion. So 2016 forward, along comes all these government people. And after the initial TTSA, which, by the way, had over 100 years of CIA experience on their board of directors combined. Like if you add it up, okay, this guy CIA 20 years, this guy CIA 25 years, this guy CIA this many years, whatever, add it up, over 100 years of CIA experience on the TTSA board of directors and members. And of course, we also had Gary Nolan, CIA contractor, work for TTSA for a time. So after the onslaught of TTSA and all these CIA people suddenly standing up, intelligence people standing up, and by the way, some of them were not CIA, some of them were what I call the alphabet soup agencies, various agencies, the NRO, the NSA, the DIA, the FBI, the CIA. It's all alphabet soup, but it's all government. So 2016 forward, after TTSA comes, then we start getting all these other people taking the spotlight. We've got John D'Souza, FBI. We've got Ben Hansen. Well, he's been around for forever, and I think he's harmless, kind of dumb guy, but he's harmless. I used to like Fact or Faked, and then he just went wackadoo now, you know, and selling garbage stories, but okay. But he's still FBI. And we've got John Ramirez, CIA, Jim Semivan, CIA. We've got Woolsey making podcast appearances, CIA director. We've got Anjali, Defense Intelligence Agency. And of course, Gary Nolan, CIA contractor. We've got Travis Taylor, government employee, right? And now we've got John Ramirez backing up the story, the completely and totally provably false stories of Anjali. Why? I'm left with just an overwhelming why are all of these intelligence people now directly in the spotlight? They used to do these things and manipulate people from the shadows, but 2016 forward, they have just rushed in. And think about the UFO community. Think about the information which is being put out there. If we get rid of all these people that I've mentioned, TTSA and Tom DeLonge and Lou Elizondo and Gary Nolan and John Ramirez and Anjali and John D'Souza, Ben Hansen, I'm sure there's more, Jim Semivan, we've got Jack Sarfati, we've got Dr. Eric Davis, Dr. Hal Puthoff, the two biggest wackadoo scientists to confirm everything alien for everybody. If we take away all these intelligence people, all these alphabet soup people, if we take all of them out of the UFO community, there's not much left. There's not much left. And that should concern all of us. Why is the entire UFO community just jam-packed, stock full of CIA people, intelligence people, FBI people, Defense Intelligence Agency people, former Air Force Office of Special Investigations people, all intelligence people, by the way. Interesting is I think this is a huge story that nobody is covering, at least not in the mainstream media, of course, and not in the world of UFOs either. And isn't it amazing that so many of these people, so-called UFO researchers like Richard Dolan and George Knapp and everybody else, they just jumped right on the let's get CIA disclosure. No, that's not how this works. The CIA is not there to tell you the truth about a cover-up or a lie that's been going on for 70 years. It's not going to happen. And all of these people in the UFO community who should have been there to provide some sort of checks and balances when this all started happening in 2016, instead of standing up and saying, we better be careful with all of these intelligence people that are literally infiltrating the UFO community, they all jumped on board. George Knapp, early TTSA investor, interviewing all of them, right? Richard Dolan jumped right on board, and more. Everybody was just jumping on this CIA disclosure narrative that was being pushed by all of these different people that were infiltrating the UFO community. Which brings us to this, our final piece tonight, which is that now John Ramirez, former CIA operative, is sort of bolstering Anjali's story, former Defense Intelligence Agency information warfare specialist, whose whole alien story fell apart. And I can't even believe that this is where we're at and this is where we find ourselves. And I further can't believe that no one else is properly analyzing and commentating on what I've just talked about. And this is all facts, friends. This is all facts. Now I have to find, oh no, I lost it. Area 503, friend of the show, he tweeted something recently, which was about John Ramirez. And apparently on Cosmic Disclosure, John Ramirez claimed that CIA guy claimed that he is an alien hybrid and that he can tell other alien hybrids by their energies. I'm going to say that one more time. John Ramirez, former CIA, high-ranking CIA operative who's been running around infiltrating the UFO community, is now on Gaia TV telling people that he is an alien hybrid and that he can tell other alien hybrids by their energy. I don't know what else to say, except if that doesn't put a huge dent into this guy's credibility, I don't know what would. Are we really supposed to believe a former high-ranking CIA operative who worked for the Directorate of Science and Technology at the CIA, believe him when he just says, I'm an alien hybrid? I think that this is extremely problematic for him and anybody who's been following him, getting those breadcrumbs, hoping that he was on the level, hoping that he was telling the truth. I don't think that he's telling the truth about any of these stories. He has provided nothing in the form of verifiable evidence. He has provided an incredible amount of claims, but without any evidence, there's no meat on the bone here. It's just another guy telling stories. So imagine my surprise. So just to review, John Ramirez, CIA high-ranking operative, retired now. You never retire from the CIA, but he says he's retired, claims that he is an alien hybrid and that he can tell other alien hybrids by their energies. And he just said this on Gaia TV. If you add that to his other fantastical claims, well, it's very simple, John. Give me a blood sample. I know a geneticist. I can take your blood sample to a geneticist. We'll have a look at your DNA and see if we see any alien DNA intermingled with your human DNA. Or is this just another fantastical story from a guy who apparently likes to tell a lot of alien stories, but is light on evidence? I don't understand why anybody's still listening to this guy. And if we add that to the fact that he is now going on shows where they actively don't press him, I was horrified at this. We're gonna put up our fair use banner, and I'll show you. This will be the last segment tonight. We have, this is fair use, transformative work. We're educating the public and critiquing the videos that we are sharing. Certainly, if a high-ranking CIA officer is saying he's a human alien hybrid and that turns out to be true, that would certainly be newsworthy and worthy of commentary, discussion, and educating the public about it. This is also a transformative work, and you can help me make it a transformative work by putting your comments you want me to share on the screen along with this video in all capital letters. I will know that you're contributing and you want me to share it on screen, and I will do so. So let's get into this. This is from Calling All Beings, which I'm not very familiar with them because they're just, to me, they are the worst woo garbage peddler show. And I'm sad to see certain people suddenly joining that show. But it is what it is, and we don't give passes here, so we can't, I can't go, oh, well, I don't really want to say anything because of this or that or this person on there or that person on there. No. We're going to provide the same coverage no matter who's on the show doing this kind of a circle jerk. And let's be clear, the UFO circle jerk is what happens when podcasts, UFO shows, and by the way, especially any show that has the word disclosure in it is garbage. But this one is Calling All Beings. And they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people that are going to sit there and listen to and interview Anjali and John Ramirez propping up Anjali's stories that have been completely and totally busted as false and fake, and they don't do anything. They just let her talk about a tunnel that doesn't exist. They just let her tell her fake story that's already been busted. And then they let John Ramirez just lie on top of... John Ramirez is literally lying to cover lies he's already been caught in about Anjali. John Ramirez said that the Arrow office interviewed Anjali. Then it turns out somebody got on the record statement from them, and they said, no, we never interviewed her. Never. So now he's got to tell new lies to cover the old lies that he just got caught in, and they just sit there, 5 people, and let him lie on their show. And they just sit there and let Anjali lie about a tunnel that doesn't exist from her original story. Great.
Operators here on Cab. The man you're seeing with the glasses, who somebody just said, it's so good to see you. He's so adorable. Put him his money now.
I'm going to have to fast forward right here.
And you have a statement from our brother, Money Nathan. So go ahead and make yourself larger, Nathan. Respected member of the IC, an experiencer of the phenomenon, a citizen of the world, and a proliferator of love and light everywhere she goes. Party people, put them together for my home girl, Anjali Schultz.
Dude, this is like the dork table in high school. No offense. What did he say? The ambassador of love and light, right? Awfully excited about a woman whose entire original story got busted. And let me just be very clear. And I don't know this show host or whatever. He's welcome to come here and I can educate him about the fact that Anjali's entire original story got busted as completely and totally fake. And no offense to that show host, but how fucking dare you platform this bitch? How fucking dare you platform this lady? Her entire story got busted as fake. And you're pumping her up, the ambassador of love and light, right? And you're going to let her sit there for 2 hours and lie through her teeth again? We've already been through this. You're more than a year behind, Mr. DJ Calling All Beings, dummy. You're more than a year behind. Her entire original story got busted on our show because we actually asked hard questions of her. We actually did all her background check. We actually did the work, right? This guy's not interested in doing work. He's just interested in sitting there and letting somebody lie on his show, provably lie on his show, so he can get views. Congratulations, genius.
Can I get an amen?
Amen.
And I didn't even know that Leah Prime was on this show until somebody sent me this link. I don't know what she's doing there. I don't want to talk about it. If anybody wants to ask her what she's doing there, go message her. I'm not here to defend her or her choices in what show she's on.
For Anjali.
Amen.
Our other special guest is a veteran of the United States Navy, a retired CIA officer, a well-read and learned analyst, also a citizen of the world who has helped contextualize the operations of the U.S. government for civilians who we toil away on Twitter, and people just don't understand what they're listening to and how to interpret what the government is doing, is saying, and is not saying. This gentleman is also he's a blessing to the community, like Anjali. And also a citizen of the world. So put them together for my man, Mr. John Ramirez.
Cheers.
Yeah, man. Yes. Ah. So
I'm doing it too. You can't see, but I'm doing it.
So the way
This is
I know you're putting
cringeworthy,
together,
friends. I'm
Debs, we
sorry.
love you. So what we wanted, the way we wanted to start this off
Somebody
tonight
said that
is,
dude is awful.
There's interesting things that John and Anjali had to discuss, and I'm gonna get out the way.
Yeah, sorry about that.
And people are like, yeah,
I forget
damn,
when
I'm
I mute
glad, man.
sometimes.
Get yourself out in the way and let these two
No,
talk.
her name is
without
Angelina
further ado,
Schultz,
Mr.
I
Ramirez,
believe.
Please take it away, sir.
Okay, yeah. I wanted to be with Anjali because we've had private conversations before, and we've texted each other, emailed each other, but we've never been on the record together on any kind of podcast. And I know in the beginning, a lot of people questioned Anjali's background. I did not, because I knew that she was part of the intelligence community, just the way she presented herself and some of the terminology she used.
Yeah, and here's where he's going to try to do a prover maneuver. Oh, her whole background of working for the government is totally true. Yeah, and so's her education. But her entire story about the aliens in the tunnel is 100% completely fake, John Ramirez. And the fact that a show host would let somebody just come on their show and just lie through their teeth is a real problem for me. It shows what kind of person he is. It shows what his motives are. Why would you let somebody just come on your show and lie, right? But here's the prover maneuver from John Ramirez. Oh, I never questioned her background. Did you verify it, Mr. Ramirez? I did. I questioned her background until I verified it. And no offense, Mr. Ramirez, but given the number of fraud, fake scammers in the UFO community, you should question everybody's background, including yours, Mr. Ramirez.
It was IC speak, and I knew she was genuine. And I know recently I stated that Anjali was interviewed by members of the UAP task force, and I believe Ted McMillan reached out to Jay Stratton.
Yeah, and you said that she was interviewed by people, and Lieutenant Tim McMillan reached out to the people that you say interviewed her, and they say that never happened. Now we're going to get excuses because he got caught in a big total lie.
And Jay Stratton made the statement, unequivocal statement, that no member of the UAP task force officially or unofficially interviewed Anjali. And when I read that, I go, okay, Jay, we need to straighten out the record, because I know what you really meant to say.
Yeah, he knows what a guy really meant to say. No, he said what he meant to say. No member of that organization, officially or unofficially, interviewed Anjali. You said they did. You lied.
And you didn't say it.
Now comes the excuses.
So I wanted to at least bridge that subject first and foremost. And so with Anjali, I was just wanted to know, in your own words, what was your experience like? Someone or...
Yeah, and now we're going to get a bunch of vague stories from Anjali about people that interviewed her that she can't verify actually ever interviewed her. And great job, DJ, calling all beings douche.
Other people interviewed you. They talked to you. Isn't that correct?
Absolutely. I was
Who? Name them.
as well at the Lincoln Memorial in August of 2021 at the presser.
Nobody interviewed her at that press release, and I know that for a fact. Nobody interviewed you, Anjali, at that so-called press conference, which wasn't a press conference because no members of the press showed up. This is just more lies from a proven liar.
I was interviewed by a lady and a gentleman. I had to really jog my brain to recollect that because
Listen, if you get interviewed by members of the government, when you remember it, she had to really dig her brain to remember it. That's a real problem. Why would she have to try so hard to remember it if it was true? Is this kind of like the tunnel that didn't exist? And by the way, her press conference was not that long ago. It was 1 year ago. Would you remember being interviewed 1 year ago by two members of the United States government? I would. I think most reasonable people would remember being interviewed by members of the United States government, but she had to really rack her brain to remember this. Why?
I spoke to so many people that day, and I wasn't keeping my own personal recording of what was happening around me. And so,
well, when government people meet you, they give you a card, at least in my experience, right? I've met FBI agents, I've met members of the intelligence community, I've met local district attorneys, everybody that I've ever met in that worked in government, they had business cards that they would give you, or you could ask for one. So who was it that interviewed you then? If it wasn't members of AARO, as John Ramirez got caught lying, saying interviewed you, because we have on the record statement, thanks to Lieutenant Tim McMillan, that no, none of them interviewed you. But now suddenly there's two phantom members of the United States government interviewing her at a fake press conference that no press showed up to, right?
So I don't.
How would they know? How would they know to be there on the day of the press conference?
Have a complete picture of all of the people that I spoke to that day. But it was previously mentioned on the Gaia Network television.
Oh, that's her prover maneuver? Well, I mentioned it on Gaia TV that I got interviewed by people, so it must be true. Why can't Anjali give us the names of the people in the government that interviewed her about her so-called alien experiences? Why? Why can't she give us the names? It's because they're from the land of make-believe, just like her make-believe alien tunnel, probably.
Show Cosmic Disclosure by Richard Doty, who is a self-confessed
government disinformation agent. Richard Doty interviews her. This is her proof.
Prior disinformation intelligence officer. He said on that show that I was interviewed by two official people that day, and he was correct. And I just want to say that.
Great. Then Richard Doty or you can give us the names of the people who interviewed you. Otherwise, this is just another story, just like the alien tunnel that didn't even exist from your original story. And we've got John Ramirez getting caught lying, saying AARO interviewed her. They come out and say, no, we didn't. We did not interview her in an official or unofficial capacity. Nobody from AARO interviewed her. Suddenly, she had to think real hard about an event that happened a year ago, and two people, mysterious people whose names she won't name, interviewed her, a man and a woman. And her proof of this is a former government admitted disinformation agent said that people interviewed her. This is the flimsiest, garbage peddled nonsense I have heard in quite some time. And that's saying a lot for the UFO community.
Because on that show, I I was kind of taken aback. I didn't recollect it very well. I had a lot of other directions that my mind was going.
If you have to have a disinformation tell you who interviewed you, that's a problem.
So I followed up on that, and yes, that is correct. So as far as my other contact with people who were associated with the UAP task force and taking interviews and presenting those interviews to them, I had a gentleman who contacted me, and through him, he brought in 2 other friends. I had multiple encounters with the first gentleman.
Again, she hasn't named a name yet.
By encounters, I mean phone calls and Zoom conversations. And then he brought in a couple of friends, and they were interested in, they asked a lot of questions of the beings. And
great. And you can name them, right, Anjali? You didn't sign an NDA or anything. There should be no reason why she can't name these. Now we're up to 4 mysterious people from the government who interviewed her about her fake alien experiences that were completely proven to be completely and totally fictitious stories more than a year ago by our coverage, right? Completely blew her original story out of the water. Why would government people care about some wackadoo woman telling alien stories that are completely and totally provably fake? Why would they care to interview her about that?
I gave them the best interpretation and answers that I could that day. It was really kind of a wild experience. The day that I had all
encounters. Yeah, she had Zoom chats.
That
oh no, we're up to 5 now. We're up to 5
because over the course of the 3 of them.
Yeah, so we've got 5 different people from the government interviewed her about her alien experiences, but she can't name one of them, right?
And several days.
It sounds like these are pretty informal phone and Zoom interviews. She should be able to name all those people, right? You've got records. You've got Zoom records. Can you show us the Zoom records of those Zoom calls? That would have their names, at least their Zoom IDs, and we could track them down and verify that you're telling the truth here, that government people are really interviewing you, right? 5 people interviewed her, but she can't remember any of their names.
I probably had easily 24 hours of contact with these 3 gentlemen.
24 hours of phone calls and Zoom calls that she, great. Show us your phone logs. I can track the numbers down. I have a reverse phone book here. For those unaware, a reverse phone book is a database. I have one. And you can give me any phone number and I can put it in, and especially if it's a government office, because that's all public records, we can get who called her. Will she give me the phone numbers from her phone logs? Will she give me the Zoom records from her Zoom calls? Will she release the names of these mysterious 5 people who interviewed her about the aliens? Or is this just more fairy tales for stupid people?
In one way or the other, regarding my experiences with the beings and lifelong experiences, not just what happened in the Mojave. Although they were very interested in that. And
names to memory.
One of the questions that I thought was an interesting question was, do you know if the tunnel is still there?
Here's where it gets good.
And I said, yes, the tunnel is still there.
She just said that she got interviewed by 5 different people in the government. And some of them asked her, do you know if that alien tunnel is still there? And she said, yes, it is. Except there's a huge problem with this. The tunnel isn't there because the tunnel was never there. And that tunnel never existed, didn't exist. And to my knowledge, doesn't exist to this day. There is no tunnel. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, I think it's 5. 5. Are they co-hosts? I don't know. We've got 5 people sitting here listening to her lie through her teeth about a tunnel that never existed, that we proved never existed. The guy didn't even start digging it yet when he met her. He joked about digging a tunnel into the mountain, into the back of his house, you know, and making it like a man cave or a wine cellar or something. And you'd have to see the maps and the pictures of his property. I might do that too. You got a big backyard, and at the end of your backyard is this tunnel, not tunnel. There is no tunnel. Let's be clear. You got this mountain that rises up out of the back of your backyard, and you can get some, he's got construction equipment. He can get in there and dig a tunnel out and build something inside there. That would be fun. He joked about it with her. She turned it into an alien tunnel that was there that night, that was never there that night. Now she's telling us that she told the government officials who were interviewing her about her alien experiences, which, by the way, were all fake, that they asked if the tunnel was still there, and she said, yes, it is. And we've got 5 people sitting there listening to her lie, and not a one will speak up and say, excuse me, didn't that guy Wayne, your Wayne, say that tunnel wasn't there? That tunnel never existed? And didn't you admit you were on all these drugs when you met the aliens and you were on Rick Simpson oil? This is a clown show. Welcome to the clown show, friends. Welcome to the clown show, where you can tell a completely and totally fake story. You just go away for a little while. Then you come back with a CIA guy lying about people interviewing you. Then you make up new lies about 5 mysterious people that interviewed you, asking you about an alien tunnel that never existed. Is the tunnel still there? Yeah, that tunnel's still there. It was never there to begin with. Never. Not from the beginning of her story. How could the tunnel that never existed when her story started still be there now? It didn't exist when her story started. Oh man.
They're telling me that it's there.
Oh, the aliens told her the tunnel's there.
And 2 of the gentlemen asked if they could be members of the expedition team and be part of that collection.
Yeah, Anjali was going to have an expedition into a tunnel that never existed, right? That would be kind of an awkward. That would have been such an awkward expedition, like getting all these people. All right, let's get in the tunnel. Anjali, there's no tunnels. There's no tunnels here. You said there was a tunnel to an alien base here. Anjali, there's no tunnels here. What do we do? Well, I guess the expedition is over because the tunnel doesn't exist that goes into the alien base that also doesn't exist. And it's ridiculous that 5 people are sitting there listening to her and nobody's speaking up.
Election team, just be present. And I didn't ask a lot of other questions about it. What I said to them was that at the time, my only requirement was that no one came armed. That nobody.
Don't be bringing no guns into my secret imaginary alien base inside a secret tunnel that doesn't really exist. Don't bring no guns there.
They came with any kinds of weapons.
Maybe they could bring imaginary guns there, Anjali, into your imaginary tunnel.
Or any kinds of thoughts of the need or the desire for a weapon. That they were going to have to leave that aside. So we had contact for a number of months, several months.
She had contact with these guys for months, but she can't name them.
So it happened. And,
you say it happened. You can't prove it happened.
Of really caring what the public says, because every time someone says, that I wasn't interviewed or that I'm not who I said I was, or just whatever other kinds of things they're saying, it's rolling right off of my back at this point. Because
what about me, Anjali? What about me saying that you lied and no tunnel exists? And how are you still here? Why are you still here?
I am at the center of my experience, and I'm the only one who.
Oh, that's it. I'm at the center of my experience. Well, this is my truth, man. This might not be your truth, but this is definitely my truth, man. Right? Okay. This is your truth. Your truth is a lie. Is that what you're saying? Your truth is all built on a mountain of lies, on a tunnel of lies, on a drug experience, right?
We can put all of those pieces and all of the contacts that I've had from across the IC, from across social media, and from across other types of messages, and the types of beings who may be communicating. They may be there. There's a chance that humans have developed this ability, and I'm just unaware of it. There is, I have absolute faith that there are higher beings, and by higher I mean that their consciousnesses appear to be much more advanced, older. They appear to have a higher perspective than we do.
Our
Kind of
imaginary
like
friends have a high.
they can look down and
density.
see inside the entire house at once, you know, where we have to go from room to room to room. They don't have to. They could whole house. They can see it at once. And that doesn't mean omnipresence, and that doesn't mean omniscience. It means that we have a complicated ecosystem.
I agree, Jill.
I have,
thanks for being a member.
Personally and professionally now, I have reached out through the IC community
to
contact a former colleague, peer,
I didn't get
mentor,
that. You think
and
so, really, Phil?
absolute hero of mine. Her name is Nicole. And I think that anyone who has worked with me previously who would be watching will know who I'm talking about. And I am in need of Nicole's assistance, if she could reach out to me. It's about time that we finish that lesson we've started.
Cryptic messages.
Thanks very much, Anjali. And let me interject here some background information. So
here comes the prover maneuver.
Who are on camera. You heard about the UAP task force, and here's the task force set up by the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence and also the United States Navy through the Office of Naval Intelligence. It is the first announced task force since the Project Blue Book under the Air Force. So if you have this task force studying this very important phenomenon, how many people would you dedicate to this task force? Show of hands. How many? Just, or you can say out loud.
You know, there would have to be, 50 or so people, I would think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would say 50 or 100. And here comes the prover maneuver. John Ramirez, caught lying that Anjali was interviewed by Arrow, is now going to claim that she was interviewed by other organizations within the intelligence community. Great.
Yeah, I'd say dozens.
Dozens? Yeah. Leah, are you pretty much?
Between 50 and 100 minimum.
100? Jules, about that much?
So
Jules, if you type it in the chat, we'll read it off for you because we didn't hear you. Let's just type it. So.
Well, okay, I got the gist of it. Anywhere from 50 to 100. Mm-hmm. All right, I am now going to reveal for the first time the number of people on the task force. That's it. That's it. So one member of the task force, Jay Stratton, he was the commander of the task force, as they call it.
And this is John Ramirez's excuse for getting caught in a spectacular lie that Arrow interviewed Anjali. They dispute that. They say they did not interview Anjali in an either official or unofficial capacity.
And of course, it's a Navy thing, right? So you have to have commanders. So he's the commander of the task force. And we also know one other individual, right, who came forward, and that's Dr. Travis Taylor. There's two.
Yeah, the Skinwalker scam guy. Great.
And there were like a couple of other people on this task force. That's it. So what Jay Stratton meant to say is this. No member of the UAP task force, his direct reports, and DJ, you're Air Force guy, you know what a direct report is? It's someone you supervise personally and you're responsible for writing their performance evaluation.
Oh my God, this DJ super genius was in the Air Force and responsible for airplanes? Jesus.
So no member of the task force, all three of my guys that I was responsible for as a career service officer, I was responsible for their...
Yeah, and here he's telling you what this guy meant, right? No, he told everybody what he meant.
promotions.
But this is a major excuse, right? And what does a CIA guy do when he gets caught lying? He lies some more. Great.
Their career development, so forth and so on. No member interviewed Anjali. That's 3 people. Now, who did interview Anjali? So in order for this small, tiny task force, the first any kind of entity within the US government since Project Blue Book, to do anything, it had to do something which, DJ, you know very familiar, these words. It's called interagency outreach. Mm-hmm. The interagency is the other agencies. You know, for example,
this is just a terrible excuse for getting caught in a lie. Okay, so Arrow didn't interview them, and somebody got an on-the-record statement saying Arrow never interviewed Anjali. So now he's back with some excuses. Well, it was somebody else that they took the information from, right? Well, we can go back to Arrow and find out, John Ramirez. We can go back to Arrow, Anjali, and find out if they got anybody else interviewed you, forwarding the interview to them. I think that the statement that Lieutenant Tim McMillan got was pretty clear. No one from Arrow interviewed her in an official or unofficial capacity. But here comes John Ramirez with some excuses, claiming some other shadowy organization interviewed her and forwarded the information to Arrow. Bull. Prove it, CIA clown. Prove it.
You have the CIA, the DIA, the NSA, you know, the alphabet soup, the major
That's my organization. Alphabet soup. He's using my words.
Of the,
well, it's not really mine.
Intelligence community. They relied.
I think I actually got that from an intelligence guy. One time he said, you know, the whole alphabet soup. And I said, what do you mean? And he said CIA, DIA, NSA, NRO, this, that, the other, FBI.
Outreach in order to get any work done. So it's the outreach to the task force that interviewed Anjali. And a member of that task force was cognizant of the interview taking place.
All right. So we'll go back to the UAP task force, Arrow, and ask them if they were aware or cognizant of interviews with Anjali taking place. And then what are you going to say? Are you going to have new excuses, John Ramirez? You're going to have new excuses, Anjali, for why none of this is reality? And this is some just believe our alien stories fan fiction nonsense. It's nonsensical garbage, right? You get caught spectacularly lying and making completely and totally 100% provably false claims. So you just make new claims and excuses for the statement that came out.
And in fact, the interagency continued to interact with the task force. And when the actual interview occurred, Jay Stratton was no longer commander of the task force, but he kept into the email loop. So he knew what was going on. And
so he should have emails from people that interviewed her, right? Well, we can check with Jay Stratton as well, Mr. Ramirez. You're digging yourself a bigger hole here. So are you, Anjali. And why do some of these people look like deer in the headlights?
And so
right?
They would not have reached out to Anjali unless something was validated. And that is the fact that she is an intelligence community officer. And how does one tell if another member is an intelligence community officer? Well, first of all, there's something called, in the old days, it was called JPAS, JPAS. It stood for Joint Personnel, I believe stands for Joint Personnel Adjudication System. And if you're in the DoD side, your name is going to be in there as having a top secret clearance, and it will have all the compartments that you have been read into. On my end, Scattered Castles on the civilian side, it's called the same thing. It's called Scattered Castles, and it has the same information. It has my name.
This is intelligence community gobbledygook designed to prove another lie.
And all of the compartments I was read into. They would not have reached out to Anjali unless they knew that she wasn't someone off the street who's an experiencer, because there are many, many, many experiencers, as Deb would tell you. There are many, many experiencers out there And all of us probably are experiencers as well.
And you notice he said they wouldn't have reached out to her and interviewed her. Well, you guys, John Ramirez and Anjali, have yet to prove that anybody interviewed her. Why don't you give us the names of the people that interviewed her? And we'll call them and verify that they interviewed her about her alien experiences. Otherwise, this is all from the land of make-believe.
But she was an experiencer who happened to be a member of the intelligence community. And that's what got their attention. And secondly, when she talks about beings, if they thought that she was somewhat disturbed because she talked about these beings, they would not have contacted her, because they know that these beings are real. They know that there is a presence.
And see, notice how he's using her verifiable intelligence background as a prover. Oh, well, they knew that she was DIA, so they reached out to her. Statements of facts being entered into evidence without any evidence that they are statements of facts. Who interviewed her? Who? Their names, their office, who their supervisors are, who told them to interview her. I don't believe anybody interviewed her from the United States government.
Of these other non-humans on the planet. And thank you, Dr. Gary Nolan.
And then of course, he's going to thank CIA Gary Nolan, because this is a CIA operative right here. And certainly he's going to push the agenda of the other CIA operatives also infiltrating the UFO community. Here he's going to push Gary Nolan's garbage.
Nolan, because he said the same thing. This knowledge is known within the intelligence community. So it was the outreach people with the cognizance of the UAP task force who reached out to Anjali. And they may not identify themselves by true affiliation because they were undercover.
Okay, here, now we have this whole excuse. So they were undercover, shadowy government agents that nobody can name, that nobody can verify any of this. Here is the lie insurance. This is, in case I get caught lying again, I got to have an out. He's giving himself an out. These people were undercover while they were interviewing her. Well, they gave her a name, right?
And what does that mean? That means that your affiliation with the IC has to be protected. And what is the two agencies that can do that? Well, one is DIA, because they have a defense human service. They too have human officers collecting human intelligence, so they have to be undercover. And what's the other agency that's been doing it since 1947? My guys, back home office, CIA. So it was at that level of the intelligence community that reached out to Anjali because they knew she was genuine. They found her information in the appropriate personnel databases to verify that she had the clearances that she said she had.
Yeah, use her background to prove the whole alien story, right? But they're undercover. Nobody can prove or disprove it. Doesn't pass the test of falsifiability.
And then thirdly, and most importantly, they knew that her contact experiences were real because they knew about
that's quite a jump.
Experiences that others have had, even within the intelligence community. And I'll just name one person who's come out. My buddy at CIA, Jim Simivan, who stated that, oh yes, he's had these contact experiences.
That's right.
And I'm sure come later this year, you'll hear more about intelligence officers with contact experiences. So I just want to set the record straight. Yes, Jay is right that
he wants to set the record straight by obfuscating everything, by muddying the waters, by covering an old lie with a new lie that cannot be proven or disproven. Awesome.
No member of the UAP task force interviewed Anjali. The other three people on that task force, they didn't interview Anjali, but the outreach people did. The interagency outreach people did, with the full cognizance of the members of the task force. And so
I agree, Steve.
Let the record stand that this is what actually happened. And so if you disbelieve me or disbelieve Anjali, fine. I'm not here to convince you one way or the other. You can believe anything you want. You can believe what other people in the government who you think belong to the government tell you.
Yeah, I'm not here to convince you, as he's trying his very best to convince you. I'm not here to convince you of anything. Then why even do the appearance? Why make up this fantastical story about undercover interagency people, right?
It's fine because toward the end of this year, as Science Bob McGuire stated at the Spaced Out Radio Vegas party, and as Dr. Nolan stated, something is going to occur. Some event will occur. It's the disclosure we all have been waiting for, and it all will be laid out. So I just want to say that.
And that's later
Hey,
this
John,
year.
I'd like to interject right now that the significance of people like yourself, Anjali, Jim Semivan coming out and talking about this amongst the IC community is akin to Dave Fravor coming out and people.
Yeah, and here's the UFO believer crowd. You guys are heroes while you're running a psyop on us, lying to us. All you intelligence people coming out with your alien stories are heroes. Okay.
In the aviation community saying, man, if this, youngest air wing commander in the Navy, Top Gun graduate, Dave Fravor and Alex Dietrich and Chad Underwood and help me, Ryan Graves, if they can come and talk about it, then that means I can.
Yeah, she's on disability, I believe.
The significance
Good
of
point.
you guys
That's a
coming
bad
out,
kitty.
I think, is that your colleagues are going to have that have been holding this inside.
I agree. Thank you for the comment.
Also, I want to say regarding something that Anjali said, I want to say that the fact that the phenomenon is able to have this sort of top-down view of the entire house.
Very reliable people.
I would really appreciate that because I've lost both spare set of car keys. And with that ability, you know what I mean? Like I could see the whole house at once. Oh, there they are. And I keep them in this little Ziploc bag in case you're out in the woods and it starts raining, your car keys are still going to work.
Yeah,
So,
he and the CIA guys said that they did. So they did.
Anyway.
Transcend.
Yes, ma'am. So did you do so where Linda was trying to come in and ask a question to you guys. I don't know if she's going to make it in or not, but would you Anjali, would you like to say something about what John said, or would
selling my pillows?
Well,
Yes.
I would like to say, just to follow up on that one of the neatest parts of the interview experience with me,
the interview she can't prove ever happened,
was not only just how incredibly respectful and informed they were, and curious, very curious, but they were also affirming and validating. Quite often, they would say things such as, "We have other sources who also tell us that," and then sometimes they'd raise their eyes and say, "Oh, yeah, we have other sources."
Good point, Kevin.
And
can't trust a professional liar like a retired CIA agent. Who can you believe?
That this was something that they were heavily invested in, and I appreciate their time, and I think that we had and have a good relationship, and I enjoy working with others. I have I enjoy working with.
Yeah, this is a problem. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4 people there that are all listening to this, and no one says anything. Like, isn't this a little too convenient? These people that interviewed her were undercover. Isn't it a little too convenient that you already lied about people interviewing her once? You were proven a liar, and now you've got a new story to cover for the old story that you already told. And what about the tunnel that doesn't exist? And nobody brought any of this up. It is incredible. Like the cognitive dissonance that's got to be going on
with folks that typically others would shy away from, I guess. I'm not hesitant at all in this experience that I'm having. And I think I've made that fairly well known publicly. There have been some developments and some redirections. And I can acknowledge that. I can't wait.
Yeah, there have been some developments, like our show here busting your entire original story is fake. That's a development that all these show co-hosts here should be mentioning to you. Like, excuse me, your entire original story was fake. Now, a retired CIA operative got caught lying about members of Arrow interviewing you, and now he comes on with you to tell new lies to cover for the old lies. Great. Great. Yeah, that's some developments. Your whole story is fake.
For the other experiencers from the IC to come forward and help you understand
the giant purple woodchuck
what I said.
Yeah, that's what I think. Yeah,
can be both
I don't know, Sacha,
to
no
me,
idea.
And I could have been physically inside of another place, and at the same time, the other people that I was with do not experience that.
Well, you said they did. Now there's more excuses. I was physically inside a place, and the other people I was with didn't experience that. Well, you said they did before. So were you lying then, or are you lying now?
It's a part of the phenomena. I can't understand it. I can explain to you what the beings that I'm in contact say. I can
look. My imaginary friends, they all say that alien mountain's real. So I'll tell you what my imaginary alien friends told me about the imaginary alien base and the imaginary alien tunnel. I'll tell you what my imaginary friends say. They say it's real. So it must be real. Come on. Are we 5 years old? This is garbage drivel.
I can try to interpret that to the best of my ability. And always with the knowledge of a couple of things. Number one, that I became an intelligence officer isn't that kind of odd? And that I was working at the Pentagon, isn't that even odder? And and that I had this contact after doing intel work for the USMC. I keep looking at the desert as if you can see. I'm literally looking west. I don't know. I'm trying to show you the desert.
You're right, Philip.
I completely lost my train of thought now. If someone wants to get back on it.
Okay. My question for you was going to be, and I'll ask John if we can turn it over to Nathan and get the cabbies with some initial questions for you guys. But during any of these meetings with the intelligence officials, did anybody ask you, for example, what kind of conditioner that you use?
What kind of conditioner I use?
Yes.
Bald guy joke, real funny.
Okay, that would have been my first question. Nathan,
same brand. Hey, DJ, it's the same brand you and I use.
Oh yeah,
could be Steve Long. Who knows?
All right, yeah, me and John are using Prel. I think I can't remember, but yeah, I know, right? But no, it is interesting though that people spoke with you.
Interesting.
And maybe it wasn't those 3 guys that are on that staff, but obviously somebody did speak with Anjali, and they would be very interested to hear what she has to say, given the nature of her experience and also the nature of her background, the seriousness of it.
Yeah, because the government always wastes time talking to alien wackadoos whose entire original story got busted as fake. DJ, super genius.
John, can I give it over to Nathan to get a question?
Sure. I just want to interject one thing.
Yeah, please do.
That people might think, oh, I thought it was illegal to CIA to contact U.S. citizens or anybody. No, not if you're a member of the intelligence community. Right. You're contacting a colleague, not a U.S. citizen off the street.
Yes, but they're forbidden from doing domestic operations.
Because I'm sure some people are wondering.
The CIA is forbidden from doing domestic operations, which might make one wonder, is it not a domestic operation to infiltrate the UFO community with various members of the CIA, all telling stories about aliens that are unproven, unverifiable, even being caught lying about things to members of the UFO community, trying to manipulate members of the UFO community? Would that be considered a domestic operation? I believe that it is, and it would be. So what's going on here?
About CIA's operations inside the country. It is authorized if the person approaches CIA first, or if that other person is a member of the intelligence community. So I just want to say that off the bat. And Nathan, take it away.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, Sean. I'm cognizant of time, and I know we've only got Leah for another few minutes.
There's that word, cognizant.
So I'm going to pass it to her before she has to take off.
Sure. So I have a little bit, I think, of a maybe perfunctory question, which is just as general citizens, what do you see our responsibilities as being in and around this subject, particularly as it pertains to like government involvement?
Well, I think the participation of citizens will be expanded, and in fact, it will be essential, because once the government discloses what it knows, citizens will need to
Our source was Corey Good. Yes.
Disclosure.
Yes, Sasha
Because
N.
I think all the government's going to actually reveal at the beginning is that, yes,
A lot of people
the
believe that,
craft we're
Sasha.
seeing is flown
Yes.
by non-humans. And yes, there's a non-human presence on Earth. Basically, everything that Dr. Gary Nolan stated at the ISALT conference. And it's 18 minutes that pretty much said it all. And you'll be hearing a lot more of that later this year, and greater detail from many more people.
Yeah, isn't it interesting that he's foreshadowing that more CIA people are going to be coming forward with contact experiences. More CIA people are going to be crafting the narratives being discussed, argued about, and bandied about the UFO community. More intelligence operatives. We don't have enough here. We need more.
But from there, I mean, for me, it's like, okay, they're here and they're visiting us. To me, that's not as exciting as who they are, why they're here.
Right.
And how should we contact them? What is the interaction that we as humanity should have with these other beings? And so that's something that citizens can come forward with. Also, there are citizens who've had like not so happy encounters with these beings for whatever reason. And so that needs to be taken seriously, that there's nothing wrong with them. They don't need to be treated in a conventional sense, in a conventional mental health therapy.
Like pathologized.
Exactly. And so I'm hoping that the stigma.
Just for anybody involved, the CIA has been caught in domestic operations time and time again. They're not supposed to operate on United States soil or, have operations against United States citizens, but Project Mockingbird, MK Ultra, and others certainly proves that they have. And that would be unconstitutional, right? There's never any consequences for the CIA, however. Now we've got a major presidential candidate in the form of RFK Jr., essentially saying that the CIA killed his uncle and his father. Boy, quite a can of worms is going to be opening for the CIA with him running for president. It will be interesting to watch.
Stigma will be removed from that. And so we can have an honest discussion of that. Some people perceive these in a way that perceive these beings in a way that they don't quite understand, and that misunderstanding might cause some consternation. Added with that is the stigma associated with that. That just adds to the bad experience, more so than the experience itself. So I would suggest citizens will continue, especially with their governments, because I believe other countries will come forward after the US comes forward, that these other countries have information about this phenomenon that they've been keeping hidden. They've been kept hidden, and they're waiting for the U.S. to take the first step. So, pressure your legislators to come forward with more information.
Exactly.
And make it
exactly,
part of the
Amy
political
Collins.
discourse. We're going into in the U.S. We're going into a presidential campaign this year, and so make it part of the campaign.
I agree.
So that's what citizens can do.
Thanks for being a member.
Raise awareness that this is real, and the government can remove the stigma from itself, from other government officers, from the military.
That's the host of this
also
clown
remove
show,
that stigma,
Randy.
because when you see who's going to come forward and what position they held in the government, it's a foregone conclusion that this is real, that this is a real thing that has happened.
Yeah, I'll get Anjali on that too.
Please. Go ahead, and would you restate that, or did you already write it down, Anjali? Her question.
Sure. I think the question was, what are the responsibilities, or what do we see as the responsibilities of citizens in after? disclosure. Was that right, Leah?
Yep. Yeah. Either in ushering the process. And John was so kind to answer this almost from a participatory citizen perspective, but even just in the sense of being good neighbors, right, to other humans. You know,
Yeah.
how do we sort of experience this collectively in a way that's supportive of others?
Absolutely. Well, I think that John touched on a really important point, and that is that not everyone has a positive contact experience. That there are experiences out
They're
there
only contacted wackadoos. Yes, Davina, thanks for being a member.
Who have residual trauma from that, and you know, this is well documented, and we have to acknowledge that. And one thing that's going to be really
cannabis lady
important
again.
from a government position is once we can finally admit as a nation that this contact exists and it has been ongoing and that we've known about it and that yes, we did hide it and this is why. And,
getting high with Anjali is never boring.
The conversation is
go meet some aliens.
I think that the I'm sorry, I forgot my train of thought, Leah. Do you remember? This happens to me. I'm sorry. I have
she's burnt out. She's too burnt out to answer a question. One question.
Basically, like what are our responsibilities to our fellow man or fellow humans in this situation?
There was some place I was trying to go with that, and I don't remember exactly.
I just want to say that these softball question. This is the first question. It's total softball. After she provably made up, her and this guy are just like making up excuses for past lies, right? And she's talking about a tunnel that doesn't exist. And you're going to ask her some softball garbage question about like, well, what? Maybe you should ask her about that tunnel that doesn't exist. Maybe you should ask both of them why two alphabet soup agencies, one who specialized in information warfare and one who worked for the Directorate of Science and Technology for the CIA, are both on shows promoting the alien agenda with no evidence, no proof, and promoting provably fake stories.
Where it was. But going back to our spiritual responsibilities.
Randy, she's taking all the good stuff.
I would say that it's one of the, I just remembered it, Leah. I'm so sorry. Okay. That because we are so behind the curve in it admitting that this is ongoing and having a dedicated effort and a dedicated force that is well funded and well supported to try to analyze what's actually going on and who is having contact with whom.
Jimmy Church was all in on this one. Yeah.
Of what's going on.
Yeah. Okay. And a lot of people don't know this, but this is a funny story. Anjali did an interview with me right after she did an interview with Jimmy Church, and Jimmy Church did zero work. He didn't verify her education like we did here. He didn't verify her work history like we did here. Nothing. And so I was kind of pissy about that. Like, why do I have to do a week's worth of work? You just interviewed her and let her talk and you didn't check anything. So I hashtagged FTB, his hashtag, and said, you know, if you want to see how a real researcher and interviewer approaches these kind of claims, come and see our show. And this was right after Jimmy Church interviewed her. And yeah, he was all in on her. He did no research whatsoever, just like usual. And he started yelling at people that were retweeting my tweet because I used the FTB hashtag. And after that, because he was such an a-hole about it, I said, I'm going to use that FTB hashtag every time I tweet my show. And I have for like a year. Thanks, Jimmy Church, for being... Jimmy Church had to be... He didn't want people to see my interview with her because he knew that I would show everybody what a clown show he is. And I did. right? And then we further investigated her story and completely blew her story out of the water as completely and totally fake. He did nothing. He softballed her, let her tell her alien tunnel stories. We proved the tunnel didn't exist. We got to the original witnesses of the so-called alien encounter, and they completely and totally contradicted her story as being fake, right? We did a great job with that. I'll be proud of that series of stories my entire existence. And Jimmy Church did the normal UFO circle jerk, don't ask any hard questions, do zero research, right?
And I can tell you, until I'm blue in the face, what different beings are said. But one of the things that I am working on myself
excuse me,
to analyze who is delivering which kinds of messages to us, where they may be coming from, for
his
what
numbers are in the
purpose, what is
crapper.
motivating them.
Yeah.
And
you know
others.
what? Church has like a 20 or 25 year head start on me. And anytime anybody brings up numbers to me with that guy, like, occasionally people say like, yo, you slag on Jimmy Church, but he beats your numbers. He only beats my numbers by doing the circle jerk. Look at a show of just Jimmy Church and look at a show of just me with no guest. Who beats who? It's beautiful. Yes. And Jimmy Church has a 25-year head start on me. But what he doesn't realize is people are tiring of that circle jerk style like he does or this show is doing right here.
Signs in society that may support interference or signs of interference, So I'm working diligently at developing this methodology kind of based on some of what I understood from my time, working in the
Biden
IC,
is an
some of the
alien.
things that I've learned.
Definitely.
I'm trying to put that to play.
A lot of
right
people
away
think that,
here.
Patty.
I've been
Yes.
doing this for a couple of years. It's
The
very
Blue Chicken
difficult
Fryer Shack.
in intelligence to deal with a small amount.
Yeah,
of data
exactly.
points,
Exactly.
You need a ton of them before you can.
There are total garbage clickbait channels that get 10 times the views that we do here. It doesn't mean they're more credible or do better work than us. It just means they're willing to, do anything. There's plenty of garbage peddlers out there, right? And by the way, did anybody see that? I am the biggest UFO hoaxer in the world of UFOs. Did anybody see that? I am the biggest hoaxer in the world of UFOs, right? Great.
Reach any kind of conclusion.
Yeah, and it's such a dirty business, Steve Long. If you've got a hoax channel that's got almost 1 million subscribers feeding you subscribers and views and guests and whatever else help, and we're beating your numbers by ourselves with no help, that does say something, right? Some people will sell their souls and they still can't make it, right?
So it's not like, even if I've had, let's say I've had, conscious contact once a year, I'm just throwing this out there. Nobody get attached to this. Okay. This is just a hypothetical. I've had, let's just say, for the first 45 years of my life, I had contact once a year and I experienced some kind of conscious communication. Okay. That certainly doesn't mean that as the years have gone by, that this has been like a collective experience in my own mind. Okay. Because they, it's very complicated.
She talks to aliens all the time, and her imaginary alien friends tell her that tunnel that never existed to begin with is still there. And she told government operatives that her alien imaginary friends told her that alien mountain and the alien base and the alien tunnel is still there, that never existed to begin with. Oh, it's beautiful.
It's very, very complicated. And I guess what I'm trying to say is that the IC, the government, has a responsibility to get these
I agree. Pick a side,
experiences,
Space
especially
Academy,
the ones
and welcome.
from the IC.
Academy,
together
and welcome.
And get these communications
Let
on
the meat
record.
fake. Yes.
And then put that up against the templates and matrices that we have out there.
Yeah, it's a lot of word
because they
salad
do
here.
exist. I already know that some of them exist that we could
Yes,
use
it usually is
to
right.
try to
He
understand
was one of the good
what is
guys.
actually happening here. And we aren't doing it. And that's going to be to our own regret, I do believe. We have waited a very long time. And I think
there's nothing like a Defense Intelligence Agency former information warfare specialist being worshipped and looked up to and asked, you know, questions about how we should all be preparing for disclosure.
That's
who lied about her entire original story too, by the way.
Okay. Now, as far as spiritual responsibilities and people, one of the things that the beings that I have been in contact want us to understand is that
you're right, Operation Shutdown.
Through our
He doesn't know who I am.
through meditation and presence of mind. And
she said through meditation. I thought she meant through my medication.
and presence of
it's terrible.
Attention. Okay. Really being mindfully attentive in a moment. And they're saying, and recognizing the diversity in the forms of life will help to prepare everyone.
I know.
For coming.
It's like listening to Charlie Brown.
And that some of
You're
this,
right, Davina.
that the
Thanks for being a
contact
member.
will be experienced through conscious communication. That doesn't mean to say that you won't visibly have visual perception. Okay. I'm not saying that, and that, everybody won't be able to see that. I'm saying that when we hear and communicate, it will most likely, with the vast majority of beings, be through conscious communication. And that doesn't mean that they don't have language. They have a language that we do not understand.
Oh, yeah. Her conscious communication. She has conscious communication with her imaginary friends that tell her that tunnels are there that don't exist. So why should we trust anything that she's getting from these aliens if they don't even know if a tunnel exists or not? Right? It just, the whole thing is ridiculous to me. The whole thing, the fact that she's still here plugging away, talking about a fake tunnel that never existed, it's just, I don't know. Do you think estimate of the situation is CIA? Yeah, I do.
And beyond that, just real quick, they're also saying, they want me to throw this in there very quickly to remind everyone that the importance of meditation and recognizing the collectiveness of the human spirit, the human mind,
New age word salad nonsense.
Like the human energy that we have, that we can collectively tap into this whatever this is in the universe, whatever is connecting all of us.
The noosphere.
Sure, we can say spirit.
Yeah.
Sure, that we will recognize and be.
We're still on the first question they asked her.
When
first softball.
We are scattered and no longer have electricity at our hands.
Ooh, that is that's a very scary proposition of not having electricity. But yeah, I mean, what could be better than humans seeing in one another value instead of seeing, oh, this person's different, or their outlook, or their.
And there's nobody I trust less than a guy who runs his show on a green screen and he can't work the green screen, right? This guy's like disappearing, parts of his head. Come on, dude. You buy some lights on Amazon for $40 and that would work right for you. I'm sorry, but Jesus Christ, if you're going to run your show on a green screen, right, at least run it right.
Their politics.
His arms are disappearing and shit. Why am I watching this?
Just
seeing value in one another, and
Oh yeah, love and light.
I heard said there is no them, there's only us. So can't remember where that was.
Anyway, I have a question from the First of all, welcome to Linda. Linda Thompson made it here with we had to send 16 or 17 links in one.
Oh, another real credible lady. Yeah, another very credible
I have
lady.
one question from the internet for John.
Before you go, DJ, I think sorry, Leah may have to take off.
Yes.
So I want
Oh, I need to take off. I just wanted to jump in and say thank you to Anjali and to John for your considered and very thoughtful answers. And as always, thank you so much to the cabbies and to the fans.
Thank you, Prime Time, for
course.
being here. We appreciate you.
All right.
Have a
Take
good
care,
night. And ironically, for John and Anjali, our newer cabbie,
Arms
Matt,
disappearing
who has a
and-
Bigfoot show, is having a Bigfoot experiencer on tonight that just had to get that individual's like, I really have tonight to be able to speak with
I
you
agree,
about
Cynthia
this.
Mack, and thanks for being a
And I said,
member.
Matt, if you're getting this kind of an experience, we'll see you later. Have a good show. So that's what Matt's recording. But hopefully next time we see you guys, you'll get to experience Matt.
Yeah, that's why he's disappearing.
Cabby.
It's the interior space of
So we have this
Anjali's cave.
question from Twitter. This is from Wow3692525, and he said, "Hi, can you ask John how he knows about the arrival of our visitor friends in 2027?" So, sir, would you, John, please?
Yes, that's nothing official. Let me tell you about 2027. I was asked that in a secure facility, a SCIF, about what I knew about 2027, because the word in government is that something is going to happen, and that comes from not.
All right, I'm sorry. This guy's a CIA agent. He shouldn't be lying to people. So I will try to give you a little bit of education. If you're in a SCIF, you're in a secure facility discussing most likely classified or secret government things. You can't go into a SCIF, discuss things in a SCIF, and then just go on the internet and tell everybody about it. That is complete and total garbage. And Mr. CIA should know that. If you're in a SCIF, it's understood that you don't speak about what happened in that SCIF or what you read, what you saw, what you were asked about, what information was exchanged in that SCIF. You don't go outside that SCIF and then just start blabbing to everybody about it. And why does everybody got to play Secret Agent Man? Right? I wish I could play that song, because every time one of these clowns that likes to pretend that they're in secret meetings and SCIFs and all this stuff starts lying, I just want to play the song Secret Agent Man. You're not going in a SCIF and then going out of the SCIF and telling everybody what took place or what you heard or what you were asked about or what information was exchanged in a secure facility. Doesn't happen. This is garbage peddling.
Not unique government knowledge, but their monitoring of social media, their contacts with Chris Bledsoe, and everyone knows that Chris Bledsoe has had the alphabet soup of the IC and the federal government visiting him, and he's been very, very vocal about 2026, 2027. Something happened,
and he also literally might have driven a guy crazy who murdered his own father, right? And Bledsoe is another one of these guys that has lots of stories and no evidence or proof. And the CIA loves him for some reason.
Happening, and it's coming through as well through channelers and experiencers. And so there's some marker in the federal government, in the intelligence area, that there's something happening in 2027. John, you an experiencer, have you heard anything? Have you have any inkling about 2027? And I said, well, I actually deferred, and I told them, why don't you contact Anjali and contact Chris Bledsoe, because they talked about those years. Yeah. As far as I'm concerned, I'm hoping that 2027 will be the year where they feel comfortable to arrive in public. Whereas, the government already knows of their existence, the public does not. And I told these people in this secure facility, and it was in 2022, you have 5 years to get everyone prepared. If you're going to do disclosure, do it now, because if they do decide to show up, you're going to have a lot of explaining to do. I also mentioned Lou Elizondo. So Lou has been saying that, in 2022, wait 5 years and it'll all be out.
Yes.
Well,
he said that?
Yes, and and so it's not just like all be out. What does that mean? It's not just, oh, we're gonna disclose that what you're seeing up in the sky is real. That's not disclosure.
Yeah, and we have been getting people giving dates for when disclosure is going to come. Remember, just a few months ago, Stephen Bassett of Paradigm Research said that we're going to get disclosure in a few months, not a few years. And here, this guy is saying we're going to get it in 2027. Hey, I will go out on, we're going to get it in 2042. Okay. All right. 2042 disclosure is coming. And then these dates come and go. Do you know that people called the first day of TTSA when they did that fake press conference, the first day of disclosure? Yeah, UFO Jesus. So this is the first day of disclosure. Disclosure is here. Well, we missed it, right? Because we got no evidence or no proof. We got the same thing we always get. Lots of unprovable, unverifiable stories, some tantalizing maybe evidence, but no real evidence, no smoking gun, nothing. And this is very, very interesting, right? Skiff. Secret, complete, idiotic fantasy. Yes, secret, complete, idiotic fantasy. And thank you, Martin Wright. And thank you for being here. And thank you for being a member. Much, much appreciated. These people have been giving hard dates for disclosure all the time. Stephen Greer said disclosure was going to come in 2001 when he held his press conference. And by the way, we're working diligently on Stephen Greer and his so-called new whistleblowers. Wait till you get a load of the latest bull garbage that's going to be coming out of Stephen Greer. It's the best fake shit ever. And we're going to bring it to you. And some of the clowns that have been helping promote his garbage documentaries and making money with and from him are all going to look like idiots. I love it. All right. Yeah.
Real disclosure is who's flying these craft up in the air, and where they come from, and do we know about them? And according to Dr. Gary Nolan, who seems extremely well connected,
according to my other CIA friend,
that what he stated is probably pretty close to what the government actually knows. But we'll need more than one voice.
Yeah, and he's using the wackadoo prover maneuver here several times. Well, this other wackadoo Bledsoe, he said disclosure's coming. And the guy who ran the fake Pentagon UFO program that never existed, he said disclosure's coming. And Gary Nolan said a lot of stuff nobody could prove. So the government must know about those aliens because my CIA friend told me so. And my wackadoo friend confirmed it all for me. And Anjali is another one of my wackadoo friends is confirming I'm right. Disclosure's coming in 2027, friends. Sure it is.
Dr. Gary Nolan to state that in succession of people who have the program clearances actually back up.
It does remind me
Dr.
of
Gary Nolan, who is not an official in the IC. He is a consultant to the IC.
Yeah, he worked for them.
Once we have officials in the IC and in the Pentagon saying that,
yes, Davina, thanks for being a member.
Give more credence to their presence, and perhaps then we can have a discussion about 2027.
You know, I have I'm passing it to Deb right now because I have a question about that, but I'll wait till it comes around. So Deb, please go ahead, ma'am.
Oh, okay. I think we skipped Nathan, so we have to go back to Nathan.
Did we skip Nathan?
Please go ahead. Deb, please go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So I just wanted to, I've had a lot of different questions come to my mind, but the one that really is catching me right now is all these institutes that seem to be doing like a tug of war with this topic. We have the White House pulled some things away. Aero's doing some things, the Navy was doing some things, the U.S. Air Force is pretending they're not doing anything, the Space Force is definitely doing something, NASA's about to talk to us on the 31st. So with all of that happening, who should we be turning to, and what is the role of places like the Monroe Institute who are also trying to contribute
we all
to these
feel like that.
Is that for Anjali or John?
Both. Whoever wants to take it first. I know that either of you can answer this one.
I will defer to John first.
Okay, I'll take that. So everyone should know that, when the remote viewing program was removed from the federal government, one of the hardest things to do in federal government is to kill programs. Basically, what you do is you move the program into another office by creating another office,
by
hiding it there. And so you never get rid of a federal program once it's started. And for remote viewing, it was removed from the federal government proper and outsourced to outside organizations such as the Monroe Institute, such as I would also add the Farsight Institute in Atlanta as two organizations that are doing remote viewing.
A government
Dr.
disinformation
Paul
agent
Smith
would never lie to me.
has his own organization, and now there's an International Remote Viewing Association. And so a lot of remote viewing still happens, but it's outside of government.
One-stop shop for paranormal everything.
Monroe Institute. They're very important because they focus on consciousness, and consciousness is a major part of the experience, as well as a major part of the physics of how they fly. And so to answer your first part of the question, yeah, it seems like we have a lot of cooks making one big mess of a stew, but they all have parts to contribute because no one single organization has it all. And if anyone has it all, I would say the Central Intelligence Agency
probably
is that organization.
I'm aware of that.
Because they were there from the very beginning, from the time of Roswell, and perhaps also the Navy.
Isn't this great too? Sure, you too can get your alien and UFO truth from a CIA operative who has been caught lying several times now. He's been caught pumping all kinds of stories. He's now on Gaia TV telling everybody he's an alien hybrid. This guy. Yeah. This is great. This is great. And why didn't any of the people on this panel know that he was just on Gaia? By the way, he was on Gaia saying he was an alien hybrid before this interview. So don't you think maybe that's something that you should bring up? Like, hey, are you really an alien hybrid? You're half alien? Really? Interesting and amazing, right? It's just interesting that this, and why is so many people in the UFO community like it's like the Pied Piper. These CIA people come out with the the pipe, and they're disclosure's coming, and they're blowing the pipe, and follow me, and all these UFO people are just following all these CIA people into a disinformation campaign. Like, they can't wait to sign up to be lied to. I don't understand this. I just don't understand all these UFO people lining up to government soup agencies who have been lying to us for 70 years, but now they're telling us the truth, right?
Navy, because there was an Office of Naval Intelligence since 1882. So they definitely they've been there since the beginning.
Yeah, that ended in World War II, Mr. Ramirez.
So these two organizations I would pay attention to. Now, as far as like getting it all together, that's what this disclosure is all about. That
the Navy still has an intelligence. It just changed names.
Dr. Gary Nolan has been hinting at.
How many times has he mentioned Gary Nolan? 4 or 5 times so far, right? And let's just analyze that for a minute. If you and another CIA guy were infiltrating the UFO community with fake nonsense stories to distract people from the real truth, would you use each other as proof? Well, Dr. Gary Nolan said this, right? I don't know that Nolan has mentioned Ramirez, but maybe. But it's interesting that he mentions another CIA guy like 5 times so far, and then he mentions some other CIA people as well that are pushing similar fake stories.
That there will be this admission by the government of what he said about the craft being non-human and the non-human presence. They're finally going to get it together under one conductor, conducting the orchestra of many, many instruments playing their part. And I believe that conductor is actually
the
intelligence committees of the U.S. Congress. And so who do we have to thank for being the conductors? Well, my hat's off to Senator Kristen Gillibrand. She's been very instrumental in putting it all together. And she has a role to play as well as the conductor. She can't play the instruments, but she knows the sheet of music she's working from.
We do know verifiably that the United States government has actively run disinformation campaigns concerning UFOs and aliens to cover for their black projects. That's a historical fact. Anybody can verify that. They did it with the U-2 spy plane, SR-71 Blackbird, and stealth aircraft as well. So I believe that all of this static and all of this noise about aliens, this is my personal belief and speculation, having researched and studied all of this stuff for many years now. They are distracting us from the black budget projects. And I'm working on a piece on black budget projects that's going to blow all of you away. It's going to be a great piece. I got a lot more work to do on it, but I believe, and this is, again, my personal belief and speculation, and I can show my evidence when I do the piece on the black budget projects. I believe that they're distracting us from the black budget projects, and that many of the things that people are seeing in the skies, including things that are described as defying the laws of physics and other, catchphrases that people use, right, are black budget projects. And they do not want our adversaries, especially, or the American public, to know that those technologies exist. Now, one can further speculate where they got some of these super advanced technologies, and I'll be doing a little bit of that in my piece on black budget projects. But that's my personal belief, that these people are sent in to distract everybody, make everybody chase shadows looking for aliens, and people stop looking at EG&G and Lockheed Martin and all these other companies that are producing. I mean, we had the SR-71 Blackbird in the late 60s, early 70s, right? Mid 60s even, I think. Maybe early 60s. I'd have to look it up. When was the Blackbird? Blackbird service dates. 1964 to 1998. We had the Blackbird, which, ridiculous. What is it capable of? Mach 3, Mach 4? And we had that in 1964. What do we have now? What are the capabilities of the secret aircraft we have now? We had the SR-71 Blackbird in 1964. How many years ago is that, right? $60 years ago, we had the SR-71 Blackbird technology. What do you think we have now? You think we have craft capable of doing Mach 4 and doing right angle turns, 90-degree turns? I believe we do. They can't be human piloted if they're going that fast doing 90-degree turns, but I believe we do.
And she's trying to get all these musicians to play the same sheet of music, their part, whatever instruments they're
alien invasions. Yeah,
so that's what's going to happen at the toward the end of the year.
Anjali, if you have something on that, please go ahead, ma'am.
I don't have anything of real value to add. I'm not surprised, that we have
okay, David,
a tug of war when you have a
the Tic Tac is what we have now.
Deeply compartmented program, such as something like this would be. You would expect for it to be. This is my nightly babushka. Probably is. I'm so into babushka dolls suddenly. It just keeps coming. It works. I'm telling you, it's such a great metaphor for so many things. But that's really a good way of looking at how deeply compartmented this is. And sometimes we can easily lose sight of those programs over the years in the IC, outside of those that are, who are read into them. Simply because we stopped talking about them and there's a turnover in workforce and blah, blah, blah.
I'm sorry, microphone muted. So that's it for me. We're gonna check out of this clown show, and what I can tell you is that verifiably intelligence operatives have been infiltrating and ingratiating themselves into the UFO community since at least 2016. I, for one, would like to know why. What is their purpose? Now, these could very well be, I could be wrong about it being an official operation where they're all working in tandem or working together to push certain narratives or to accomplish certain things like, oh, I don't know, more budget for the Defense Department. It could very well be that these former or current intelligence operatives just know that being a former or current intelligence operative with a work history in the intelligence community gives them some air of legitimacy, where they too can come into the UFO community and make gobs of money pushing that they're credible because they were in the CIA. Or like Lou Elizondo, I'm credible because I worked for the Pentagon and I ran the Pentagon UFO program, even though it didn't exist. Kind of ruins his credibility, right? If you get caught verifiably lying. But time and time again, we have seen former military, or especially former intelligence since 2016, coming forward, or current intelligence coming forward, integrating themselves into the UFO community, and suddenly they're making all this money. They're getting TV show deals, book deals. They're making the rounds, working all of these UFO shows. They're working UFO conferences, getting huge speaking fees. They're getting television show deals, documentary deals. Anjali got a deal with Gaia TV to be a talking head talking about her alien tunnel that does not exist. We proved that here. So I don't understand what's happening here. I don't understand why people are lining up to get their disclosure from people who have been trained to lie for most of their careers. I don't understand this. And to be very honest with you, there is almost no one I see in the UFO community, or let's call it the alternative research community, pushing back. One of the problems is that these people, UFO guys, don't understand how intelligence community works. And I'm not saying that I do much better, but I'm trying to understand this. And I repeat my previous statement, and that is, if a whole bunch of CIA people suddenly infiltrated the Star Trek community, that would be on CNN. That would be on Fox News. That would be on MSNBC and NBC and CBS, and it would be in the New York Times, right? Why are all these intelligence officers suddenly in the Star Trek community? But somehow in the UFO community, it's not only accepted, but we see that most of the narratives that are being pushed into the UFO community, including these crash retrievals, whistleblowers are coming forward, disclosures coming any day now, false flag alien invasions. A lot of this is being pushed actively and purposefully, if you look at it, and manipulatively by members of the CIA or other intelligence community assets. And I just don't understand why all these UFO shows can't wait to interview and get their CIA truth, right? If you're going to the CIA to get the truth, you're doing it wrong. Do you know what they do? They lie and manipulate people. That's their purpose. And more than any other organization, the CIA uses things like misdirection, false flags, complete and total disinformation and misinformation campaigns, provably, and have provably done so against the American people multiple times. But we're sitting here in UFO land, and all these UFO shows can't wait to interview the latest intelligence operative. I, for one, am glad that we did interview Anjali, and we blew her entire fake story to shit. But here she is again, because this is UFO whack-a-mole. You can never get rid of them, right? Once they get a taste of that little bit of UFO fame, right? They're UFO famous. Or a little bit of UFO money, they won't go away. It's just whack-a-mole. We whacked her down last year, proved her entire original story is fake. She gets a big money deal on Gaia TV. And she's sitting there like an idiot talking about a tunnel that does not exist. And people are just letting her talk about a tunnel that does not now, nor has ever existed. Full stop. And then we've got all these UFO circle jerk shows, like the one we just sampled, sitting there and letting this woman provably lie about a tunnel that never existed, about interviews with shadowy government officials, which she refuses to name, right? And she's got a higher up CIA guy with her who's also an alien experiencer. He was abducted by aliens, I think, and he's an alien hybrid, telling everybody she's telling the truth and government people really did interview her. But I got caught lying about the last government people I said interviewed her. So now I got a new story to cover for the old lie. None of this makes any sense to me. None of this makes any sense. And if you agree with me, then you're in the right place, because this is Anjali, John Ramirez, and the CIA circus. Did you get your ticket from these circle jerkers, or are you going to get your ticket from me? Everybody's got to make their own choice. If you want to get your information from people who are trusting the CIA to give them the truth, I think you have a lot to learn about the CIA, and we'll just leave it at that. I am troubled by what I have seen. And to be very honest with you, I am honestly horrified that all these UFO shows are just like, yep, let's go get our interview with the CIA disclosure talking head so we get our views. And it's all a game, right? Don't ask him any hard questions. Don't bust his balls for getting caught lying. Don't bust the Defense Intelligence Agency's information warfare specialist who is here. She's a goddamn... Listen, this is verifiably true. Anjali, when she worked for the Defense Intelligence Agency, do you know what she did? She was an information warfare specialist. And now she's in the UFO community telling us the truth about those aliens. Something stinks here. Something is not right. And until all of these idiots lining up for their CIA UFO disclosure stop what they're doing and think about the history of the CIA. Think about the history of the DIA, the Defense Intelligence Agency. Why is a woman who specializes in information warfare here? Is this an information warfare campaign against the UFO community? So we believe certain narratives? I don't have all of the answers. To be quite honest with you, most of what I have are questions that most of these people won't answer. I heard somebody mention, why don't we have Anjali here again? She blocked me after we busted her fake story out the wazoo. Why don't you have John Ramirez? Well, I'll try to contact him. He's welcome to come here. And he and I could probably have a really nice conversation about the history of the CIA and their lying to the American public provably over and over and over again for their entire history. Why would we believe CIA disclosure reps, right? It doesn't make sense, because it is absolutely ludicrous that anybody would go to the CIA or any intelligence people, to be honest with you, asking for the truth about a government cover-up or the truth about the UFO phenomenon or the truth about Bigfoot, for that matter. They're not there to tell you the truth. They're there to lie and manipulate you, right? When's the last time that you truly think the government told us the truth? You remember that health crisis we had, right? Look what a good job the government people did telling us the truth about all that shit. Right? But we're supposed to believe them about something as fantastical and earth-shattering and human paradigm shifting as alien visitation on Earth. I'm sorry, I'm not buying any CIA disclosure psyop, and neither should you. And every one of these people in the UFO community that's signing up for the UFO disclosure from the CIA sold you out. I refuse to sell you out. I refuse to play along with the CIA psyop in order to get views or, increase my show's income, because that's what you got to do. Just play along. Look at all the people that played along with Lou Elizondo, who lied about running a Pentagon program that never existed. Look at all the people that play along with Nick Pope, who lied about running a British UFO program. No, he didn't. He sat at a goddamn desk. Look at all the people and how much money they made that just played along with Anjali's story. We didn't play along. We fully investigated that one. We went to the mat to find the truth for you, and we did. But the sad part is that the truth doesn't matter, because you too can do the Cosmic Con shuffle, go away for a little while, and then you could still get a big money deal with Gaia TV telling the same story that just got busted out the wazoo as completely and totally fake last year. And you too can be part of UFO Twitter Week as a speaker. Did you know that? Somebody just told me on Twitter she's going to be part of UFO Twitter Week, right? Is she going to tell more fairy tales about her fake alien tunnel that does not exist now, nor has it ever existed? And by the way, if you want the truth about this woman, the video is in the description of our video tonight. That just says sources. It has the original interview that we conducted with her so-called witnesses. Remember, when she first told the story, she said that the witnesses that night would confirm all parts of her story. They never did. They never confirmed any parts of her story, except that they met her somewhere. And, it is what it is, I guess. But it's very discouraging to me that we put so much time and energy into finding the truth out about that woman and her complete and total, what we now know to be a complete and total fake story. We really worked hard on bringing the truth about her story. We worked real hard, and it's discouraging to just see her back, right? Just see her back telling the same story that we know is completely and totally fake. And even more discouraging is watching 5 people just sit there and let her lie again, right? That tunnel does not now, nor has it ever existed. That should be relevant to her story. And when she starts talking about a tunnel that doesn't exist, you stop her. Excuse me. Steve Cambion on Truth Seekers investigated your claims and found them to be completely and totally false, completely and totally fake. How are you meeting aliens? Going through a tunnel into an alien base when the tunnel doesn't exist, when the guy never even started digging a tunnel, right? And the 2 principal witnesses that were there with her that night confirmed she was doing drugs, and none of that happened. But this is the CIA UFO circus, and truth and reality don't really matter very much, right? And you know what else? It's very discouraging that I have to compete with people who are just able to get away with lying constantly, and no one seems to notice, and no one seems to mind, and these people can have careers in many cases making a lot more money than I am for telling you the truth, because they can just lie to you. They can just completely and totally lie to you, and it's perfectly okay. And here is a perfect example of that. We recently had a piece called Me Demolishing the Latest Third Phase of Moon Hoax. By the way, I stand by everything in that piece. And so what happens to you when you tell the truth here in the UFO community is often then the personal attacks start. So Third Phase of Moon have an attack clown who they send out to muddy the waters, who they send out to lie about me. Their attack clown has lied about my wife, my children, my dead father, made fun of my disability, made some other completely and totally false claims about me, right? And we did demolish that last third phase of moon garbage piece. It's either a hoax or they are the dumbest, laziest UFO guys on planet Earth. Those are their two choices. They couldn't spend 35 seconds to identify a high altitude balloon before running to sell it, right? And even when we got them by the balls, dead to right, they send the attack clown to muddy the water. Anybody ever ordered anything on Wish, right? You know about Wish? Wish is like the ghetto version of products. So like if you want like a good, you know, anything, a really good pair of headphones, you get them on Amazon. You don't go to Wish. Because if you go to Wish, you're going to get the cheap, garbage, copied, you know, gross, cheap, break in 10 seconds version of what you really wanted, right? And that's what Third Phase of Moon does. They sent out their attack clown. I love this. So original, right? The guy steals my thumbnail, right? And does a complete lazy job. Look at the edit on that head. Boy, oh, we're going to contrast that one more time. Look at the edit on it. Look at that, how bad it is, right? Here's mine. This is the Amazon or the good version. This is the Wish or the garbage version, right? The Lies of Stephen Cambion. And by the way, in this, he called me the biggest hoaxer in ufology. That's what he said. He said I was the biggest hoaxer in ufology. And what was my point about this guy? Third Phase of Moon's attack dog? He lies to his audience constantly, right? He lies to his audience constantly. And what does he do? He puts this thumbnail up, stealing our thumbnail, right? Very original. What if this guy had an original thought, it would die of loneliness. And look at his great editing skills. When I said that he might be the dumbest, laziest UFO guy on planet Earth, he just confirmed it for me by stealing our thumbnail, doing a quick, lazy edit. Look at that. It looks like just a square. I'm just going to stick my head on that, right? Take his thumbnail, right? My God. And then he titles his show, Stephen Cambion is the biggest hoaxer in ufology. I have never been caught in a hoax. I have never even been accused of hoaxing anything. How could I be the biggest hoaxer in ufology when that is clearly held by Third Phase of Fake? Clearly, Third Phase of Moon are the biggest hoaxers in ufology. By the way, there's a poll about that. Who's the biggest hoaxer in ufology? Me, Secure Team 10, or Third Phase of Moon? The fact that this guy could even do that, right? And the only way he can get views is by putting me in his stupid thumbnails, right? That's the only time he gets views, right? So he's got to keep trying to pick fights with me, lie about my wife, lie about my children, talk about my wife's tits, right? Talk about my dead father, make fun of my disability. Great. And I love this one too. I'm the white trash of ufology, and I'm scamming people for views and subs. I'm also the bully ruining ufology. And remember, what was my point about this guy? He lies to his audience constantly. Hey, Rich, I don't live in a trailer like white trash does. You do, right? I don't live in a trailer. And who have I scammed for views and subs, right? Who have I scammed? Can you tell? How? How have I scammed anybody? How am I the bully? I'm not talking about your wife, your family, your dead father. I'm not making fun of your any disabilities, anybody that's disabled. I'm certainly not fat shaming people. I'm not bullying anybody. But this is the ridiculousness that we live in. And here, I love it that this guy does the same thing over and over again. We catch him lying, and then he lies more to cover the last lies, right? We catch him lying, and then he just comes up with new lies to cover for the old lies. And I'm trying to find it here. This man lied to everybody in one of these garbage pieces of his, muddying the waters, trying to make me the bad guy by saying that 4 prominent members of the UFO community, oh, here I have it, 4 prominent members of the UFO community Richard Dolan, David Wilcock, Linda Moulton Howe, and Jimmy Church have all sent me cease and desist orders because of my defamation of character, because I lie when I debunk people. Those people never sent me anything. Not a one of them. They didn't send me any legal threat letters. I don't know where he gets this stuff from. I think he just makes it up. So here he goes again. He 100% lied to his audience again. Now, in order to cover for that lie, he told new lies. And here's the new lie. He told his audience, well, that's the way I remembered it. He said that on his show. Find a clip, bitch. Don't tell your goddamn audience that I said that something happened or I said something unless you play the clip, you burnout bitch. How many times are you going to lie about my wife, my children, my dead father? How many times are you going to attack my paralyzed eye, big man? Then you lie to your audience some more. Stephen Cambion is the biggest hoaxer in ufology. The fact that somebody that works for Third Phase of Moon is telling people that I'm a hoaxer? Everybody is laughing at you, Rich. Everybody with a goddamn brain is laughing at your ridiculous continual lies. And you prove me right again. What's my point? You lie to your audience constantly. You lied to your audience about Richard Dolan, Jimmy Church, Linda Moulton Howe, and David Wilcock sending me legal threat letters. They never did that. Then you lie to your audience again. And you say, oh, that's the way I remember it. He must have said that on one of his shows. Show the clip. Show the clip, Richie. There's no clip of me saying those 4 people ever sent me cease and desist letters. It never happened. And you're so burnt out. Maybe you ought to put the pipe down, bro. Put down the pipe. Get a real job or something so you clear your mind and start focusing on important things instead of lying about people's wives, children, family, and dead relatives on the internet to make money. We do not lie to our audience here. You do. And I love it. He says I lie when I debunk people. Go through the documentaries, Rich. Show everybody where I lied in those documentaries. Do it. Do it. You can't and you won't because there are no lies, right? And he's going to bring up this lights over LA hoax again, where Third Phase of Moon were the only people to see a huge lit up UFO over the streets of the whole city of Los Angeles for 10 minutes, but nobody filmed it. Nobody saw it. Nobody took a picture of it. There's no reports. There's no news reports. I don't care if we got one data point. And stop lying and saying, I don't want to see the evidence. Send it to me. Broadcast it. And don't make excuses. Oh, there's privacy issues. Yeah, all of a sudden when they get caught hoaxing a goddamn fake UFO through a sheet of glass, and that's not the first time they've done that. We've got them doing that scam twice. All of a sudden there's privacy issues and they have to show me something privately. Then have them show it to me. It doesn't matter if we were wrong on one data point. If you analyze a still frame from their original video, it clearly, you can show reflections, which means they filmed it through a sheet of glass. Further proof that that is a hoax is that it took place over the entire city of Los Angeles, a huge lit up UFO in the sky with multiple lights on it. Nobody saw it. Nobody reported it. No news reports, no television reports, no nothing except Third Phase of Moon posting the video claiming that they saw a UFO in the sky. They didn't see anything. There was no UFO in the sky. That's a hoax. Who cares if we were wrong about this location or that location? Where did they film it? Who cares? It's a hoax. Prove it's not a hoax or shut the hell up, hoaxer boy. Goddamn spirit orb idiot living in his mom's trailer. His mother owns the trailer that he lives in a trailer park. And this idiot is running around calling people white trash. And this idiot is running around telling people he's a hoaxer. We bust hoaxers here. That's what we do. You sold out. We didn't. That's what's bothering him. And all of this other stuff is all just a distraction. If I lie when I debunk them, go through both those documentaries. There's 2 documentaries on Third Phase of Moon proving that they hoaxed over 50 things. And why are we even in an argument, right? They hoaxed over 50 things, at least. 50 times they hoaxed things. Who cares if we were wrong on one debunk? That just means that they hoaxed things 49 times, provably, and not 50. Keeps repeating the same garbage over and over. Well, they were wrong. They might have been wrong on one data point out of 1,000 in 4 hours. Listen, if we only got one thing wrong in 4 hours of documentary, that's better than the mainstream media. That's better than most mainstream media outlets can do. Not get one fact wrong in 4 hours. And you're going to pick on us because we might have got a location wrong? It's still a hoax. Prove it's not a hoax or shut up. And I love it. I love it. This guy started all of this, and then he lies to everybody. I have the timeline, Rich. You started all of this with me, not me. I got an argument with Third Phase of Moon. The next day, he started put me on blast, telling everybody that I'm the bad guy here. It's all to muddy the waters. Who cares if Third Phase of Moon hoaxed things provably 49 times or 50 times, right? And what about those text messages between you and hoaxers providing Third Phase of Moon with 100% admitted, here's a fake UFO. This is cool. Here's how I made the fake UFO with brake taillights, and I hung the taillights from my ceiling, and I filmed it through my glass door, and that's how I made this fake UFO. And then Third Phase of Moon posts it. Rich knows about it, says nothing. Now he's going to have excuses. And let's not forget more lies, right, Rich? Rich said that he talked to a whole lot of people that have known me for 20 or more years, and they're all coming out of the woodwork, and they're all giving him dirt to use against me. Really? This guy's desperate for dirt. If he had real dirt against me, would he be making fun of my wife, lying to people that I met my wife in a strip club? Would he be attacking my children, right? He called my 6-year-old child a failure and a loser. That's what kind of toxic clown this guy is. And he thinks he's going to win by continuing to lie and lie some more and lie some more. But let's get back to my friends that have known me for 20 years that are coming out of the woodwork contacting you with dirt. First of all, there is no dirt. Pretty boring married guy, and I have been for more than 20 years, right? Outside of this, there's no dirt. I don't have a criminal record. There's no dirt to be had. He's lying to his audience again. And if you're not lying about all these people contacting you, have them on your show, Rich. Can't wait to hear these people that have known me for 20 years that are coming out of the woodwork to give you dirt on me, that you're too much of a gentleman to use, right? We're all supposed to believe that the same clown who attacked my wife, my children, my dead father, my disability, he's fat shaming people and all this other stuff, is too much of a gentleman to use the dirt that people are giving him against me. Sure, you liar. Name the names. Name them. Because over the weekend, I checked in. I made a list of everyone that I know in my life that has known me for 20 or more years. People should be aware that my parents are both dead. May they rest in peace. I have a brother. I have a few cousins. I have a couple of aunts and uncles. And I have a very few very old friends. I called all of them. None of them even knew who this guy was. So he provably lied to his audience again. Or he can post their name and proof that they knew me. No, he's making up stuff. He's proving my point. He lies to his audience constantly. See, this is the problem. When you lie to get out of a lie, like John Ramirez just did, same method that Rich is using. Oh, I'll tell everybody there's all this dirt on him, and he's a miserable person, and all these people are telling me all this dirt that have known him for 20 or more years. I called them all, Rich. I called them all. I have the list. I'll release it. Anybody can talk to people that have known me for 20 or more years, every one of them. And they will all verify that they don't even know who the hell you are. None of them contacted you. You lied to your audience again. How many times are we going to catch you lying to your audience before you put this all away and put it behind you? Just admit you were wrong and move on. Stop attacking me for telling the truth with more lies and more lies and more lies and more lies. I've had enough. You're in my rearview mirror. You're just another idiot that we busted here, just like Anjali and all the other hoaxes and fraudsters and fakers that we have busted here. We have a proven track record of getting the story right. You're going to try to turn the world against me? What have you contributed? You're right there with your hands out, with both hands, begging for money every day. Every day, this guy's on the internet begging for money for UFO garbage. And what does he give everybody? Clickbait titles, stolen thumbnails. He's lying about people's wives. He's calling people's 6-year-old children losers and failures. He said that Third Phase Moon never hoaxed anything. Then he said they haven't hoaxed anything in 5 years, then 3 years. We got them last week. Well, the one last week is either they hoaxed that or they're the dumbest, laziest UFO guys, and they didn't have 35 seconds to check on something before they ran to sell it on the internet, which means either way, nobody should listen to you or them because you're not UFO experts, Mr. Third Phase of Moon. We have a whole team of UFO experts. It's a clown show. Nobody should be watching your UFO clown show. And right there with your hands out, right? And you're going to put in thumbnails that I'm scamming people for views and money. How many times have you told your audience that you have to get a job and you're going to have to stop doing the show, right? And then you don't. But those donations sure increase when you have those pity parties, don't they? Right? But you're going to tell people provably false information about me. And let's just get back to this one for a moment, because listen, if he was on the level and he got something like that big, that wrong, that 4 prominent people in the UFO community sent me legal cease and desist orders, right? Because of defamation of character. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. That's another lie, Rich. And what does he say in defense of that lie? He tells more lies. He says, well, that's how I remember it. He must have said that. No, I didn't. Show the clip, or you lied to your audience again on top of this original lie. Then you lie to your audience some more, telling them that all these people that have known me for 20 years are coming to you with dirt, but you won't name them and you won't drop the dirt and you won't bring the people on your show. Bring them on your show. I'd love to hear this 20-year-old dirt you have on me. And even if it's true that there's some 20-year-old dirt on me, why is that relevant? Why don't you talk about the fact that Third Phase of Moon just put out a completely and totally fake UFO for cash, for money, that they couldn't spend 35 seconds researching? And then he says some garbage about, why didn't I do it that night? I did, you dummy. And I have messages between me and many people, and I'll post them if I have to, but I'm not on your schedule. I don't have to do it when you want me to, dummy. When I did it is irrelevant. Anybody could go to flightradar24.com and see that you could have identified that thing they put out as a UFO in 35 seconds. So listen, every time he does this, I just laugh. Every time he does another show, and by the way, I think he did 5 in 1 week, right? 5 in 1 week with either me in the thumbnail or bitching about me through the whole show. 5 in 1 week, really? Boy, am I living rent-free in your head, dummy. Awesome. And we're bringing the AI attack clown back. For those, see it in the last video. Just go to our video section. Stephen Cambion demolishes the latest Third Phase of Moon hoax. You can see our new AI attack clown. And by the way, we've improved the voice and got it to be a little more animated. And going forward, I'm not wasting time on a proven liar. How many times is he going to lie to his audience about me, right? Move on, bro. You're busted, right? Those private messages between you and the people hoaxing the videos prove that you knew this whole time, that you were lying to your audience saying third phase of moon never hoaxed anything, never hoaxed anything in 5 years, 3 years. You were in on the private messages about the hoax fake videos they use, bro. And you're going to try to weasel out of it? I love it. I love it. More. Come on, dummy. Come on, dummy. Rub those last 2 brain cells you got together. Rub those last 2 brain cells that are working in your burnout brain. Come up with more lies. Every time he opens his mouth with my name in it, he digs this hole deeper for himself. And you cannot dig out of previous lies with new lies. And it is what it is. And that's where we're at. And that's where we find ourselves. And by the way, I just want to mention that all people have a choice, right? We all face a crossroads. Are we going to play along with this fantasy-driven garbage UFO fairy tale hour, right? Are we going to sit here on a show and pretend that third phase of moon are credible or that Rich from GoofOn is credible? Are we going to pretend that third phase of moon doesn't fake things constantly? Or are we going to speak up and say, these guys are garbage peddlers? And I had that crossroads and I made the right decision and I will stand by it forever. And Rich made the wrong one. He took the YouTube ad pennies. He took the deal, right? And they're going to help him and do all these things for him. What have they done for you? They've made you a basket case proven liar mess that has to constantly lie to cover the old lies, right? And they've destroyed your credibility, which I predicted would happen if you worked with or for them. So congratulations. All men face a crossroads. We can take the left-hand path and do the wrong thing, or we could take the right-hand path and do the right thing. I do my best to do the right thing. And this clown saying that he's doing things the right way while he's attacking people's wives, children's, family, dead relatives, disabilities, is laughable. It's absolutely laughable that this clown is still doing this. And I'm going to tell you one final time, if you keep this up, there are going to be consequences for you. Now, that's all I'm saying. There's going to be consequences for you and third phase of moon. And you can continue down the dark and dangerous path you're going on. Continue to lie about me, my family, my children, and you're going to have some consequences. I'm not going to discuss it any further, but best of luck to you. And remember that since you're doing this as a subcontractor or employee or associate or just even in defense of third phase of moon, the liability is with them. They have allowed this clown to attack my wife, my children, my family. People made pedo comments towards me, right? They will be more liable than him. He doesn't care, right? They get some loser with no money who has no assets that they know nobody's going to be able to do anything to. The guy's got nothing, right? Well, since you're doing that in their defense, and I would highly caution third phase of moon, what do you think it's going to look like? What do you think it does look like that you let this guy do this and you refuse to fire him, to make a statement saying we don't condone this kind of behavior towards people's wives, children, disabilities, or any of that stuff? They're just letting him do it. And I'm sure there's more people than me that think they're not just letting him do it, they're encouraging him to go out there and try to trash me, try to muddy the waters, try to shut me up. And by the way, there is some lovely things that could happen, like just some lovely things. And if you thought I could bust you now, if you thought I could bust this Richie idiot and third phase of moon now, let him keep going and see what I'm able to do next. Because they are slowly giving me more and more power. It's amazing. All right, we want to thank Wes Snipes for a kind and generous £2. Says, love your rant, Stephen, and happy birthday, dude. Yeah, I want to thank everybody for the birthday wishes, but tomorrow night, this is against my better judgment, and I hate the fact that we may have to do another one. For those, thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. Much, much appreciated. 1 second. I want to check in with the public view count, the private view count. You know, I have taken down or privated some videos and things. So we're at 975,000 views. We were going to do a panel show when we get to 1 million. I'm not sure. We may do it tomorrow. We may celebrate early. We're going to hit that in the next week. That being 1 million views on YouTube. And I did it without selling out. I did it without the help of a channel with almost 1 million subscribers, shoveling subscribers and help my way, right? Yeah, it's my birthday tomorrow, but thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. We'll still do a show tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern time. I will be back here. I'm not sure. We're either going to do another show that I had planned, but I kind of forgot with the show situation that it's my birthday tomorrow. And I know some people might want me to just do a birthday show, but I don't I don't like that. I'm going out to eat with my wife and children when my wife comes home from work, and we'll have a nice relaxing evening and some cake. And I'm sure there's cheesecake somewhere involved in this. That's my favorite. And my wonderful wife certainly, I'm sure, has some things planned, cake and ice cream with my 2 boys and my wonderful wife. I'm going to do that. I'm going to relax a little bit, and then I'm going to come here because it's just another day to me. But it is nice to recognize that you survived another year on this dirt ball. So, yes, tomorrow is my birthday. Thank you, Wes Snipes. And we want to thank our kind and generous benefactors, including all of you wonderful Patreon supporters and YouTube channel members. And, of course, we want to thank Anthony Peterson for a kind and generous $3 super chat, and we want to thank not super chat, PayPal pledge, and we want to thank Sweet Caroline for a kind and generous $40 PayPal pledge. Thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. MVP of PayPal pledges, and also we want to thank Maria for a kind and generous $50 PayPal pledge. And Maria says, keep doing what you're doing. Love the show. Well, thank you, Maria, for your kindness, generosity, and support. For those unaware, we are a viewer-supported show, and there's a few ways that you could support us. Oh, yeah, that's another thing. I got attacked for having a bumper to tell you how to support our show. What's the difference between that and just verbally saying it? What, because I was smarter than that guy and I'm tired of saying the same pitch? I'm not going to do a pitch every day. We have an announcer. We just put it in a bumper. What's the difference between telling people verbally and putting it in a bumper? There is no difference. But anyway, we want to thank all of you kind and generous benefactors. And for those unaware, we are a viewer-supported show. And we don't do the UFO circle jerk. We don't sell out to hoaxer channels like some people to try to make their show successful, right? We try to do this the right way. And we're able to do that through the kindness, generosity, and support of all of you. You can send a super chat. You can become a Patreon supporter or a channel member, PayPal pledges. We read everything that people send us, and we thank each and every one of you. Here's Ian to tell you how you could support the show.
Truth Seekers is a viewer-supported show. Wonderful people like you who enjoy this show send pledges in the form of super chats, super stickers, super thanks, PayPal, or Cash App. Instructions for how to help are in the description. You can also join our Patreon, and for as little as $1 a month you can get extra content. Patreon supporters get a backstage pass, early access to all our production videos before they are distributed publicly, Stephen Campion's music, private writings, a monthly show journal, and more. You can also become a YouTube channel member for $5 a month. A YouTube membership includes all of the Patreon benefits, plus a special members badge, priority reply to video comments, and the live chat, plus a monthly members only video. We thank you all, kind and generous benefactors, for supporting truth seekers. Thank you for your generosity and support. Thanks for being here. This is Truth Seekers with your host, Stephen Campion. Please rate, like, and comment on our videos or podcasts. If you are listening to an audio podcast, please rate us 5 stars to help us rise in the search rankings. If you are watching on YouTube, please like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. If you're listening to an audio podcast, we love and appreciate you listeners, but you are missing the live tapings. All our shows are recorded live with video feed. We'd love you to come be a part of our live broadcasts and tapings for the podcast. Head on over to YouTube, click the search tool, the little magnifying glass, put Truth Seekers, one word in the search bar, and hit enter. You'll see a strange and mysterious guy with sunglasses. That means you found the channel. Go there, smash the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to receive up-to-date info on our YouTube channel. We welcome you to be a part of our live taping and our chat room during the live broadcasts. Seek the truth. Speak the truth. This is Truth Seekers. Truth Seekers. Truth Seekers. Truth Seekers is a viewer-supported show. Now there's a great way to support these broadcasts and show your support. Please be sure and check out our merchandise store. Links to our 2 merchandise online stores are in the links to this video or podcast. The Amazon storefront ships super quickly in the United States, Great Britain, and in many more places. Amazon may not ship to your country or location. If that's the case, hit our second merchandise link in the description and visit our Redbubble storefront. Merchandise from our Redbubble storefront ships worldwide, but may take longer than Amazon. We've got a great deal of super high quality merchandise for you to choose from, including t-shirts, phone cases, sweatshirts, and even pillows. The feedback from our products have been overwhelmingly great. Quality products and fast shipping. People all over the world are buying some merchandise and showing their support of the show. Praise the cash. Praise the cash. Praise the cash. We thank you all, kind and generous benefactors who are buying some merchandise and helping us to continue this journey.
Praise the Cash is an ironic call-out to the grifters, liars and scammers that fraudulently scourge the paranormal community that true experiences have to navigate blind. Stephen doesn't really praise cash. He invests more than he makes from this show. But of course, you knew that already.
Yes, that's AI Steve, which we're still working on. You know, I don't want to do these... I don't, some things I think it's fine to pre-record announcements for. So it is what it is. People are going to, I'm even getting attacked for having merchandise, something that almost every show does, right? Oh, sorry, you're too lazy to do what I did, right? And build 2 storefronts, right? You're too lazy and you're going to attack me for it. It's wonderful. So listen, I didn't realize that we went this long. See, I get, sometimes I just get swept into this, and I take you all with me. And we thank all of you for being here. We thank old friends, and especially you new friends. What a growth period that we are suddenly experiencing. And we want to thank all of you new people for clicking that subscribe button. And if you haven't already, please do. It really does help. We thank all of you for being supporters, you veterans and people who have been here since the very beginning. There are still people here that started with me something like 8 years ago when I started an audio podcast that almost nobody listened to. And some of those people are still here. And I'm thankful for each and every one of you who have been here for the long haul. And I'm equally thankful for you new people. Please do. This is my call to action, though. I will pitch this. Go and watch one more. We have a tremendous catalog of previous live shows. We have a video section here. We've got all of these albums. We're up to, is it 3 now? Yes, I believe it's 3 albums in the, yes, 3 albums. 3 free albums are in the video section here. And this is from my new album series, The Purge. I've been recording songs for years now and not really doing much with them, so I decided to release them here as the Purge Project. We're just purging the master. You know, I have this big box full of audio masters, and we've got 3 albums so far: The Phoenix Files, Annihilator, and The Ugly Truth. And this Saturday night at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're going to debut another one, right? And if you are part of our Patreon or our YouTube channel membership, you get all these goodies way early. A lot of this stuff people on Patreon and YouTube channel members have gotten already. You get early access. We appreciate all of you for supporting the show. It means a lot to me that we can continue this journey and remain independent and not sell out to hoax or scam channels or to CIA disinformation agents to get views, right? We're doing it as honestly as we can here. And through the help and support of all of you, we can continue to do that. So that's all we got for you, friends. We thank you, Patreon supporters, you super chatters, you PayPal pledgers. We thank you, super sticker purchasers, you super thanks people, and YouTube channel members, Patreon supporters, Twitch subscribers. I'm getting a check every month from Jeff Bezos now, thanks to all of you people in the Twitch chat and subscribing. If you're unaware, you can become a Twitch subscriber if you're an Amazon Prime member for free, and you can just give us that couple of bucks every month, and it won't cost you anything. I appreciate everyone and all of your support. What a fantastic show and journey this has been. The CIA infiltration into the world of UFOs is going to continue. We've heard John Ramirez, a lot more experiencers from the intelligence community are coming out. Yeah, I guess they're getting the op, dialed in, and they're going to release more CIA experiencers like him talking about aliens. And we'll be here to cover it. I hope you'll be here with us to see it. So that's all we got for you. We'll be back tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'm not even sure what we're doing tomorrow. I have to make that decision tonight. But follow me on Twitter at Stephen Cambion. It's a great way to keep up. I always post things early there. Join our Discord server. If you like these live chats, you can do that 24/7 with like-minded truth seekers just like you right on our Discord server. So that's all I got for you, friends. Until next time, my name is Stephen Cambion. Good night, and God bless all of you.